Hello, everybody, and welcome for another day of baseball here at White House Field. And with the regular season coming to a close, it is truly time for the playoff crunch. I'm Tyler Henry, and I'll be joined, as always, by Colin Casey as the Harwich Mariners will be playing host in a home-and-home to the Chatham Anglers, the top team in the Eastern Division and the only team this year so far to clinch a playoff berth with a 23-13-2 record. And Colin, the East is getting awfully close. You get the feeling that it's really going to come down to the last couple of days. Let's take a look at what the three teams that Harwich has to worry about are going to be looking at really quickly. The Mariners are currently sitting in fourth place at an 18-20-1. Behind them by a game are the Brewster Whitecaps at 17-20-1. And ahead of them are the Orleans Firebirds at 19-16-3. For the Mariners, they have 5 games left on the season, concluding today. And for the Brewster Whitecaps and Orleans Firebirds, who play each other today, they have 6 games remaining. It is going to be intense through these last couple of days. And what can we expect going forward with some of the matchups that these teams are facing against, Colin?
Well, I know for one thing, these are 2 important games for the Harwich Mariners, but not only 2 important games, but 2 difficult ones as well, as Chatham has been one of the better teams against the East this year with a 13-3-2 record for the Anglers against Eastern opponents. They've won their last 3 games against the East, and they've been 4-1 on their last 5 road games. So this is going to be a really tough test for the Mariners, a home-and-home with them. But as you mentioned, Orleans and Brewster are playing each other for the 3rd consecutive game. So one of those teams is going to benefit, and the other is going to falter. Of course, they both tie. You know, they split the doubleheader yesterday, so could be an opportunity for the Mariners to gain at least a game on one of them if they're able to take care of business tonight at White House Field.
Of course, the Brewster Whitecaps and Orleans Firebirds, as you mentioned, splitting yesterday. The 3rd game is today. And really quickly, let's take a look at what these teams have left this year. Starting with the Harwich Mariners, they have the home-and-home here with the Chatham Anglers, so they'll play them here at White House Field today and then on the road tomorrow. And then after that, they'll have 3 games left, one with the Orleans Firebirds in a split doubleheader. The second game of the doubleheader will be here at White House Field against the Brewster Whitecaps, and then they will close their year out with Brewster on the road. For Brewster, they have an extra game at the end of the season as they play Orleans today. Then they go to they play against Bourne tomorrow. They have a game on the road against Chatham, the 2 with Harwich, and then another game on the road at Bourne to close out their season. And for the Orleans Firebirds, they will play Brewster today, Whitey tomorrow, then Harwich, and then closing their year out with 2 games against the Chatham A's. So this is a Chatham squad that's been getting it done against the East all season long, and their lineup will look like this. Starting things off will be Houston Morrill playing second. He stands in now. Playing second will be Kaden Polkovic out in center. Then Ben Ramirez, the shortstop. Late sub Kendrick Caliwow in right. Alex Terrell in at first base. Paxton Wallace at third. Cooper Davis in left. Daniel Fetterman, the pitcher, at DH. Keaton Rice at catcher. And on the bump to start things off for the Harwich Mariners, once again will be Jared Weatherby, who was used as an opener in the latest meeting between these two, and his first pitch is delivered on the outside for a ball. Take a look at the defense for the Harwich Mariners. It will be Pat Winkle getting the start behind the dish, Nico Cavadas at first, Dylan Noisy at second, Hal Hughes at short, Riley Terrata at third, Chris Galland in left, Max Marshak in center, and Daniel Cabrera in right as the 1-0 pitch misses low and inside.
Houston Morrill getting a big vote of confidence from his manager, Tom Holliday. He's kind of struggled in the month of July, hitting just 188, the lone RBI, and a pair of doubles.
And Colin, let's get into this here in a moment, as these two teams have been getting a little bit cute with each other here. The 2-0 pitch will be in there for a strike, as last time these two met, it was a late substitution to put Jared Weatherby in to start, and then they used him as an opener going to Carson Seymour, and we know Tom Holliday wasn't too pleased about that, so both teams were kind of in a standoff before today's game as to what the lineups would look like and who the pitchers would be as the 2-1 misses high. And once again, we kind of expect that Weatherby will probably, with his innings limit, only go here for the first inning or so, don't we, Colin?
Yeah, and it looks like Connor Seckler might be the one that'll take over at this point. No one warming yet in the bullpen, so it'll be interesting to see what they go with, but it sounds like Seckler's going to be the move.
Weatherby's 3-1 is fouled away by Houston Morrill, and then on the other side for the Chatham Anglers, they have Daniel Fetterman in there as the DH in the 8-hole, but it's unlikely that we'll actually see him hit. He hasn't taken it at bat at any point today, and Colin, you explained this is something that happens at the college level quite a lot.
Yeah, I guess some guys, when there's an opener on the mound, they kind of just go to, as that ball's hit well towards the gap.
Yep, that's going to have an opportunity to get down, and it's going to bounce up against the fence, so it should be a stand-up double as Gallen's able to corral it and bring it in. So Houston Morrill starts things off with a stand-up 2-bagger of his own, and that'll bring up Kaden Polkovic here in the 2-hole for the Anglers. But as you were saying, Daniel Fetterman's in there as the DH. He's a pitcher. He hasn't hit at any point this year, so he's pretty much just a placeholder. And when it comes around to that 8-hole, they will sub him out for somebody else. But they get the opportunity to see who the pitcher on the mound will be, and they can kind of set the lineup around that.
Yeah, and there's several options off the bench for Chatham. I know one of them definitely could be Garza, the catcher who started. Tyler Doan's another, and of course, Jorge Arenas, who had a home run, a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning the last time these two teams played.
His first and only home run of the season. So here comes Kaden Polkovic, probably the brightest contact hitter in this entire lineup, and he takes a big swing at the first pitch and tips it back into Pat Winkle's glove for strike one. Of course, with Jared Weatherby getting his second consecutive start here. Take a look what he throws. Fastball, curveball, slider, change. So a guy who throws the works for a typical pitcher, and a good four-pitch guy. We've seen all four used to perfection this season, as the 0-1 is an off-speed pitch that will be fouled down the third baseline. So it's going to be an intense couple days of baseball here, Colin, as we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Every single team fighting for a playoff spot right now, with the exception of Chatham. And then the YD Red Sox can actually clinch a playoff spot if they win today, or if Brewster finds a way to lose to Orleans.
And YD off to a good start in Katuitt. They lead 1-0 early.
Get you updated on the scoreboard as well, and try to keep a close eye on that for all of you at home today. It's the 0-1 is swung on and missed by Polkovic. So Weatherby is out ahead of a hitter here, and it's more important again that Harwich keeps the runs off the board, because the only game where they beat Chatham this year was one in which they did not allow any runs. Two of the other three games they had a lead, and Chatham came back and won in comeback fashion. As Weatherby sets the 1-2 pitch, and there's the big breaking ball that's going to be swung on and missed for strike three. Polkovic gets the string pulled on him, and that's the first out of the inning.
Yeah, good looking breaking ball from Weatherby, who's had a bit of a rough spell over the last couple of games. He did pitch a scoreless first inning against Chatham his last time out. Before that, he had that outing in Falmouth pitching that bottom of the 10th inning where he gave up a walk-off home run. So the runner on second, let's see if he's got the confidence to go through the heart of the lineup.
And the heart of the lineup will start with Ben Ramirez, the shortstop today, one of the top hitters once again here in this Chatham lineup. And with a runner in scoring position, he digs in. First pitch is a high fastball that will miss for ball one.
Ramirez out of the University of Southern California. His teammate Jamal O'Gwyn was originally slated to bat behind him, but a late change puts Kendrick Caliwow in the 4 spot.
And that does leave them to where they could put O'Gwyn in the game later. You wonder whether or not he could be one of the guys they plug in down there in the 8 hole, as Weatherby checks the runner back to second. A 277 average this year for Ben Ramirez, who's been getting it done all year long and getting it done against Harwich a time or two as well. As Weatherby's 1-0 pitch is on the way, that one will be fouled off.
Yeah, Ramirez had that RBI ground out in a game a few weeks back here at White House Field. That at the time put Chatham at 2-0 on the season against the Harwich Mariners.
Yep, and of course Harwich took the loss in Game 3 or 4 of the season against the Chatham A's earlier this year at Veterans Field by a score of 5-0. Then there was the 4-3 game here. They won 2-0 here and then lost 6-4 on the road just before the All-Star game. The 1-1 from Weatherby. That'll miss low and inside, and the count goes 2-1 here on Ben Ramirez.
Ramirez, one of the hottest hitters in the month of July for Chatham Anglers, with a .301 batting average. He's homered once and driven in 11 runs.
Yep, he's getting hot at the right time, and that's been much to the happiness of Chatham fans everywhere. As the 2-1 pitch is going to be taken hard, but right at second baseman Dylan Noisy, who picks it up and fires on to first for out number 2. So that does allow Morrill to move up to be 90 feet away, but just needing one more out here, and they'll get it against Kendrick Caliwow, who so far, Colin, has kind of struggled against the Mariners this year.
Yeah, he's had a tough time at the plate and just going he was 0 for 7 with a strikeout so far this season against the Harwich Mariners, so not exactly what he has been hoping to do, but golden opportunity here with the go-ahead run early in the game, 90 feet away from third.
I feel like every time we say that, that guy ends up getting a hit. We'll see if it continues as Caliwow digs in from the left side. First pitch to him is going to be fouled away, and Pat Winkle holding his hand out for another ball, but home plate umpire Joe Laspinara just kind of tossed it back out.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there were number changes here, because I have Paxton Wallace listed as number 13 on my roster, and it appears that he and Caliwow might have switched uniforms.
This one's going to be fouled off. Well, we did think that Caliwow, or we had this earlier. Paxton Wallace and Jamal O'Gwyn seemed to have their numbers switched earlier compared to what was on the roster. So it's Kendrick Caliwow here with an 0-2 count. Weatherby trying to put him away and close out the inning, as we're tied here 0-0 in the first. The 0-2 pitch, check swing, and they say he went. So that'll end the inning as Jared Weatherby gets a pair of strikeouts. A good start to his outing. We go to the home half of the first when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey, and the pettiness war continues here. We have another update for you, as there was actually a roster or an update to the lineup. So it was Paxton Wallace who struck out to end the first inning, and then Kendrick Caliwow will be hitting down there in the sixth hole. So the lineup is changed here for the Chatham Anglers. Of course, that came out after the official lineup was brought up here to the scorer's booth. But nonetheless, it'll be Harwich coming up here in the home half of the first, and their lineup, according to what we have, of course, looks like this. Dylan Noisy will lead things off at second base, then Chris Gallen playing out in left. Right fielder Daniel Cabrera, DH Chris Lanzilli, first baseman Nico Cavadas, catcher Pat Winkle, shortstop Hal Hughes, third baseman Riley Terada, and center fielder Max Marshak. And they will be facing off against Luke Bartnicki, who has put together a pretty impressive campaign this year, Colin, and he's had his fair share of experience against the Harwich Mariners. As his first pitch from the windup is on the way, and that one will be in there for a called strike one.
It's been a strong year for Bartnicki. 3-0 record, a 3.15 ERA. Just been kind of used in unique spots. He's started a few games. He's also come in out of relief as well. Gets
Noisy to swing through that one, and the count goes 0-2 here. And the one interesting thing, these teams have pitched exceptionally well against each other this year, as Harwich is boasting a 2.38 ERA against Chatham, while Chatham has been putting up a 1.8 ERA of their own against the Mariners. Here's Noisy, who will swing on a ball and send this one out to deep left field, tracking it back to the fence, and making the catch is Davis out in left for the first out of the inning.
That ball kept carrying. I don't know if the wind took it a little bit, but Davis seemed to be caught by surprise. He had to go back a lot further than he expected, and was able to run that ball down about 10, 11 feet in front of the left field fence.
So here comes Chris Gallen, and let's set the defense here for the Chatham A's. It'll be Keaton Rice getting the start behind the plate. Alex Terrell at first, as this pitch is fouled away by Gallen. Houston Morrill gets the start at second. Ben Ramirez at short. Wallace out at third. Davis in left. Kaden Polkovic in center. And Kendrick Caliwow is out in right today. So with an 0-1 count, it'll be Chris Gallen, who has had his fair share of success against this team this year. He'll swing through an off-speed pitch to make it an 0-2 count.
Gallen has had a lot of success this month in general. 308 batting average, his lone home run coming in July against Orleans, and 10 of his 12 RBIs as well.
Next pitch is right down the pipe. Gallen watches it go by, and that's going to be called strike three here for the second out of the inning. So again, I mean, knowing the way these two teams pitch against each other, if you came into this game expecting a high-scoring bout, this may not be the game for you. You may want to flip the channel over and check out another game, but should be a good one nonetheless. All the games between these two, with the exception of the 5-0 win for Chatham to start the season series, have been exceptionally close. Here comes Daniel Cabrera, the LSU product, standing in from the right side. And the first pitch from Luke Bartnicki to him is going to be chopped weakly to second. Charging in is Houston Morrill. He'll pick it up and throw on to first. And it's a quick 1-2-3 inning here for the Chatham A's. When we come back, it'll be the second inning of play. All that and more. Knotted up 0-0 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey. There is a completely new lineup here for the Chatham Anglers. So let's get you the actual lineup. Houston Morrill is leading things off. That was the same. Kaden Polkovic hitting second, Ben Ramirez third. And then in the cleanup spot was Paxton Wallace, then Alex Terrell, Kendrick Caliwow. Fetterman is in the 7 hole. Keaton Rice is in the 8. And, of course, Cooper Davis hitting down in the 9 hole.
It's turning into a little bit of a joke, not going to lie.
This has been fascinating to say the least. So still out there for the Harwich Mariners is Jared Weatherby, and why not a really good 1-2-3 inning to start things off for him. So we will try to get things right again here, as standing in from the right side And taking the first pitch high for a ball.
Interesting to see Weatherby get into second inning here, as still no action yet in the Mariners bullpen, so we'll see how long until Coach Engler decides to make the move to who appears to be Connor Seckler, the next pitcher to go.
Next pitch misses high and inside. And Chatham digs in again here. So a 2-0 count here. Jared Weatherby from the stretch brings the pitch home. That's going to be in there for a called strike. And again, it's 34 out there for Chatham. On the, so that's Alex Terrell. Here comes the pitch. That'll miss high and inside. Tipped off the bat, and the count will go 2-2. Gonna have to pretty much just flip the book over and start fresh, I think, here in a minute.
At this point.
So the 2-2 count, it is Alex Terrell, today's first baseman, standing in. And here comes the pitch. Off speed, missing low and away, and the count is full here.
Yeah, Terrell's been pretty horrific against lefties this year up until that last game between these two teams, where picked up a huge game-tying 2-run, 2-out double off of Tommy Vale.
Full count, swing and a miss, strike 3. Alex Terrell is retired on strikes, and that'll be Weatherby's third strikeout of the day, as he has really bounced back well. He had a couple of rough outings out of the bullpen, but aside from that, he's looked completely solid. And the last 2 starts that he's had so far, he's looked more or less dynamite. So here comes Kendrick Caliwow, playing third base today. Get the feeling tomorrow could be fascinating, as we may have a similar situation to what we have here today. As this one's hit to short, it'll be picked up by Hal Hughes, and he will throw to first in time for out number 2. And I wanted to bring that up as well, Colin, because Dylan Noisy playing second base, I think that's a good move for the Mariners, because Hal Hughes, for as exceptional as his defense has been at shortstop, has never looked truly comfortable over there playing second.
Yeah, it's an interesting move. I mean, for some guys, they prefer one side of the middle infield as opposed to another, but we know Noisy's been very versatile in terms of any position he can play, whether it be the outfield or middle infield. So I agree. I think it's a smart move to put him at second base and let him show off that range over the second base position.
So Dan Fetterman is the man due up to hit.
Or is he?
And I was going to say, it's probably going to be the sub here.
And let's get a number on this one.
We talked about this. We said they would probably plug somebody different in. So coming in to hit here will be Charlie Welch. And not a bad idea, as Charlie Welch this year is 2 for 3 against the Harwich Mariners. So he will be taking over for Daniel Fetterman.
My scorebook's got more ink on it than a W4.
Yeah, sounds about right. Mine's in the same boat. And in addition to all the other mistakes that we've had to deal with today, I ended up flipping the book for the first time in the entire season. First pitch to Charlie Welch is going to miss outside for ball 1 here. Seckler, of course, still not up and warming. Nobody really up and warming, as they may let Jared Weatherby go out and just do his thing here. As his 1-0 is on the way. Swing and a miss there, as Charlie Welch blows right through that one.
Welch, another guy who's done pretty well in the month of July, 318, a couple of home runs.
So with a 1-1 count, we'll see whether or not he can continue his reign of terror. 1-1 misses inside.
Chatham's already clinched their playoff spot, so just trying to maintain that number 1 seed.
2-1 misses away, and that's something they could do very easily here. Is for them, they have the YD Red Sox chasing them, but YD, after losing consecutive games against the Chatham Anglers, currently sit about 3 games behind them in the standings. So all Chatham has to do is keep them at arm's length. Chatham also has 2 more games left to play than the Red Sox do, and Weatherby will issue his first walk of the day to Charlie Welch.
Yeah, and as far as YD goes, that was a much-needed bounce-back victory in the second game of the home-and-home against Harwich yesterday. A resounding 13-7 win, and they were fortunate enough to draw a tie the night before that at White House Field. 4-4 was the score of that one, so we'll have to see if they're able to kind of build off of that big win and try to clinch themselves at the very least that 2 seed in the East.
So here comes Keaton Rice, standing in from the right side, 2 away, 1 runner on. Weatherby continues to work out of the stretch here, and here comes the first pitch, and that will be fouled back to the screen here for strike 1.
A lot of catchers on this roster for Chatham. We know the guy on first base, Charlie Welch, is a catcher. So is Saul Garza. So a lot of depth at that position. Interesting for Tom Holliday's staff to keep that many catchers on their roster.
Weatherby sets the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball, it's going to be in there. Harwich was in a similar situation as they had Matt Oldham and Jackson Greer, who ended up going on to be an all-star for the Bourne Braves. But with a couple more catchers in, they decided they'd rather have pitching depth, which, to their credit, worked out exceptionally well for them through the first half of the season. So they had to let both of those guys go. Weatherby trying to get another out here and close out the inning against Keaton Rice, who stands in with an 0-2 count. Runner on first, 2 away, the pitch. That one swung on, a little half-hearted check swing that's going to chase Riley Terada out into foul territory, and it will drop harmlessly into the Harwich bullpen, where still nobody warming up, so Weatherby again looks like it's his game for the time being. Of course, on both sides, we thought there would be another pitcher coming into the game early on, potentially Connor Seckler for the Harwich Mariners, and then on the other side, we thought we'd see Mason Hazelwood come in and potentially pitch the second. We'll see whether or not they actually make that change, as again, nobody warming up in the bullpen for Chatham either.
We've seen Bartnicki go 2 to 3 innings before, so if he continues to pitch well, I don't see why he doesn't stay out there.
0-2 will miss high and a mile inside, so the count is going to be 1-2 here on Keaton Rice. As we continue trying to get the lineup transcribed correctly on the other page here. So due up in the 9 hole, it will be Cooper Davis. 1-2 pitch, fouled away.
And Brewster has taken a 2-0 lead in the top of the first inning against the Orleans Firebirds. That game now in the bottom half of the first inning. YD has extended their lead 2-0 over the 2 at Kettleers.
So a big day for a lot of teams in the East here. Trying to get a couple of big-time wins. The biggest one, of course, being the Brewster Whitecaps right now. And we have seen one of those teams come back on the other in the last couple of days, as this one is fouled off to keep the count 1-2. So the Whitecaps coming back on the Orleans Firebirds yesterday to pick up the victory in Game 1 of that doubleheader, and then Orleans came out and won Game 2. The ideal scenario for Harwich was that one team or the other would sweep, but at this point, the best hope is that Brewster can find a way to take a loss today. Weatherby to the belt. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Another strikeout for Jared Weatherby. And that's going to do it for the visitors' half of the second. We go to the home half after this. Still a 0-0 game on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey still knotted up at 0 here, and it'll be Chris Lanzilli to lead things off for the Harwich Mariners. And again, the lineup from here on in for Harwich is Chris Lanzilli, Nico Cavadas, Pat Winkle, Hal Hughes, Riley Tirada, and Max Marshak. No changes there. So the first pitch is on its way. Swing and a miss on that as Luke Bartnicki takes something off speed and low. So an 0-1 count here on Chris Lanzilli.
Infield playing really deep on Lanzilli, expecting something to hit hard.
He's been putting really good wood on the ball over the course of the last couple of weeks. So watch this one go by for strike 2. So no big surprise there.
Got a blockbuster in the MLB to report. Marcus Stroman traded to the New York Mets.
Well, there you go. This one is fouled away. You know what they got in return?
Not sure. First reported by John Morosi, so details still coming out on that one, but don't know if that was exactly the New York team expected to trade for Stroman, and I'm sure Yankee fans are none too pleased.
Probably. Here comes the 0-2 from Bartnicki, and that'll be fouled off back into the Harwich dugout by Lanzilli. Chris Lanzilli's been seeing the ball a lot better, really the entire second half of the season. See whether or not he can put a bat on one here as he fouls this one lazily over into the Chatham bullpen.
Yeah, you mentioned Lanzilli's been seeing the ball a lot better as of late, and numbers certainly back that up, hitting .280 in the month of July with a home run and 9 runs batted in.
See if he can continue that with nobody out here to start off the second, and he looks like he will as he rakes this one into right field. That one's going to get down and roll all the way to the wall. Lanzilli will move up to second. He will hold up there, as picking it up is Kendrick Caliwow, and he'll throw it in. But it'll be a stand-up double, and now Harwich with a runner in scoring position, nobody out. Nico Cavadas at the plate, and an ideal situation to try to score the first run here.
Yeah, Lanzilli just continues to hit balls hard towards the gap. I mean, he had a 2-run single yesterday. It was a long single. And then 2 days before, he did another double as well to add to it against the YD Red Sox. So a lot of opportunities lately for Lanzilli, and he kicks things off, a leadoff double here in the bottom of the second.
So here comes the guy who's tied for the home run lead in all of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Nico Cavadas, first pitch is well outside. Good block there by Keaton Rice to keep that one in play. That's the other thing here is if Lanzilli can find a way to move up to third, the floodgate of options open for Harwich in terms of trying to get him home. Bartnicki from the stretch kicks and deals, and fastball will catch the outer half here for strike 1.
You mentioned Cavadas tied for the league lead with 9 home runs. TJ Collette the other with 9, and then just behind him is Collette's teammate Tyler Hardman.
Tyler Hardman, a certified Harwich Mariner killer this year through 2 games, 4 home runs, and 8 RBIs. This breaking ball will miss outside for ball 2 here to Nico Cavadas.
Still got to play him 2 more times as well, so more opportunities out there for Hardman to pick up some home runs against the Mariners.
Certainly wouldn't be opposed to not seeing him get too many more opportunities, but you get the feeling he'll have plenty. As stepping off the rubber and checking the runner back to second is Luke Bartnicki. So with a 2-1 count, Cavadas trying to make something happen here. He had an RBI single a couple of days ago, or actually yesterday I should say, in a big game with YD that Harwich ended up going on to lose 13-5. Here comes the 2-1. That'll be in there for called strike 2, right around the letters, and count goes 2-2 here on Nico Cavadas.
Yeah, worst case scenario for the M's, they're able to get a ball to the right side of the infield that'll move up Lanzilli and put him in position where a sac fly could score him with 1 out in the inning.
So a big plate appearance coming up here by Nico Cavadas. Nobody out. The Mariners have the go-ahead run on second. The 2-2 will miss outside. Good eye there as that one broke well off the plate. And the count's been worked full here by Nico Cavadas.
Interestingly enough, no actions in the bullpen, or in either bullpen, so you wonder if it's another standoff between both managers waiting to bring in their first relief pitcher.
Payoff pitch to Cavadas. He will swing and foul that one away. It certainly could be a standoff. We've seen that once this season, and yeah, nobody seems any more interested in pulling their starter than the other right now. So Cavadas digs back in here. Another payoff pitch coming from Luke Bartnicki, and here it is. And he will foul that one off as well. So a couple of pitches here spoiled, and it seems like Cavadas has been getting more and more patient here, Colin. He's been seeing a lot more pitches and hasn't been quite as aggressive over the past week or so.
Yeah, and that's definitely a welcome sight for a guy who's pretty high up there on the strikeout list. He's currently 4th in the entire CCBL in strikeouts with 39, so patience definitely would be something welcome for Cavadas' arsenal at the plate.
Here comes another payoff. This time it'll be lined into right, but it's going to be hit up a little too high, and Kendrick Caliwow will have an opportunity to come in and make the play. It looked like that was going to get down, but it hung up forever. Just a solid line drive, and that's the second out of the inning.
And a good play out there by Caliwow. I mean, he probably wasn't sure at first if that ball was going to drop in front of him or if he was going to be able to make a play on it, but he decided to be aggressive and it paid off, made the catch, and that ball was hit so hard that Cavadas, or Lanzilli rather, unable to advance to third.
So now coming up to the plate for Harwich, it'll be Pat Winkle, a guy who had his first home run of the year just a day ago. It was a solo shot against the YD Red Sox, and he'll stand in looking to move the runner up 90 feet. First ball is outside for ball 1. So with Chris Lanzilli standing on second after the stand-up double. One away for the Mariners here in the home half of the second. Trying to get on top of Chatham here early, something that you almost have to do if you're going to beat this team. Although I will say Chatham has the 2 come-from-behind victories against the Mariners, one here at White House Field after the M's took a 2-0 lead. It was 3 consecutive one-run innings for Chatham, and that ultimately gave them a 3-2 victory. Here is Bartnicki's 1-0 pitch. That one will skip in the dirt. That gets well off the glove as Lanzilli will move up. He takes a turn at third, but will hold off there as Keaton Rice picks it up. That one went all the way over to the Harwich dugout.
Yeah, that was kind of a lazy play from Rice behind the plate. That ball in the dirt from Bartnicki and about a foot to his left, but instead of going down into the block move, he just kind of stuck his catcher's mitt out, didn't really turn the glove over, and went off his glove, goes over towards the third base side, and easy job for Lanzilli to take third base.
So on the pass ball, that allows Lanzilli to move up 90 feet away. Another off-speed pitch will miss outside here to Pat Winkle, and this is a golden opportunity for Harwich with 1 away. All Winkle has to do is put one somewhere in the outfield, and you think Lanzilli has enough speed to make it home, but see whether or not he's got the take sign on here with a 3-0 count. Here comes the pitch, and that'll miss, so it's a 4-pitch walk here to Patrick Winkle, and that'll bring up Hal Hughes, who has been all over the lineup, but typically finds his place in the bottom. He's been seeing the ball exceptionally well, and this has turned into a pretty good season for him here in the latter half.
Yeah, it certainly has, and for Chatham, I guess it's not the worst-case scenario putting Pat Winkle aboard with a walk. I mean, Winkle homered off a lefty yesterday at YD, and now you set up the double play situation, so Ramirez and Morrill move to double play depth at short and second.
Winkle is the only person on the Harwich roster who does not have a single career stolen base at any level beyond college. It's the first pitch, squaring around a bunt and pulling it back here is Hal Hughes. Hughes had a pretty good day yesterday in a 2-for-4. A couple of really hard hit balls and a pair of singles for him. And then in game 1 against the YD Red Sox, it seemed like he may have had the hit that could give Harwich a victory. It's his RBI single put the Mariners on top in the 8th, but a late comeback by YD allowed them to tie it, and it was the first tie of the Harwich season. So it's a 1-1 count here on Hal Hughes. Coming into today's game, Hughes hitting a $195, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. As we mentioned, he's been a lot better over the course of the last month or so, and here he'll watch a pitch miss low and away to make it a 2-1 count.
He had a couple of singles yesterday and drove in a run 2 nights ago. Back-to-back multi-hit games for Hughes, and another opportunity to pick up perhaps his 4th RBI of the season.
Big-time chance for the Mariners, who are looking for the first run of the day. Still knotted up 0-0 here in the second, and this pitch is going to be called a strike around the knees. So the count goes 2-2 here on Hal Hughes. For as good as he's been the last couple of days, that RBI single the other day, one of the first for him on the season. Just 3 RBIs for Hal Hughes this year. Looking for number 4 here. Still working out of the stretch is Bartnicki, the 2-2 pitch. And that one's going to be chopped softly. It's going to get through the hole. Runner comes home. They try to turn the double play. They won't even be close. So it's going to be an RBI fielder's choice here for Hal Hughes. And the Mariners jump out to a 1-0 lead to start this game.
Yeah, good job of Hughes at least getting the ball in play to try to make something happen. And it's just a slow chopper towards Morrill at second. He didn't have enough time to turn two at all, so they just get the force out with Winkle at second. Manzilli comes home, and very important for Mariners to pick up this first run against a Chatham team that is very tough to beat when you fall behind against them.
Certainly are. Well, the lineup has been a little bit calmer recently. It's been the pitching that's really tied Chatham over, as Harwich had a huge lead on everybody else in the league in team ERA. That has since dissipated, and the team that has taken their place is this Chatham Anglers squad. First pitch to Tirada is going to be hit to short, picked up by Ben Ramirez. He'll go the short way, and that will end the inning, but not before the Mariners strike for one. They take a 1-0 lead into the third when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. And we'll go back to White House Field, a 1-0 lead for the Harwich Mariners as we go here to the top of the third. Leading things off will be Cooper Davis for the Chatham Anglers. And I think everything is all good to go now, Colin, as we've gotten the official lineup. Everything has been put in, and this will be the ninth batter. It's another inning coming up for Jared Weatherby, as his fastball will miss high and inside here to start the at-bat to Cooper Davis. So Weatherby's getting a pretty good look, and there is finally action here in the Harwich bullpen. Still nothing up in the Chatham pen, so we'll see whether or not this lasts for another inning after this. As a ball is fouled away, Weatherby evens the count at 1-1.
We've seen Weatherby. He's made a couple of starts with the Elon Phoenix in his college career, so he's getting stretched out a little bit here, but nothing he hasn't seen before at the college level.
Squaring around to bunt, pulling it back, and taking strike two here is Cooper Davis. And we've seen Chatham be willing to play some small ball this year. It just kind of depends on the situation, but they're not a team that relies solely on power. This is a Chatham Anglers squad that has 23 home runs on the year. Harwich not too far behind with 20, as this one will miss in the dirt. Good block there by Pat Winkle, and the count is 2-2. Didn't get a chance to introduce our umpires, but behind home plate it will be Joe Lasapanara. Jason Klump is at first, and Alan Liberdoni is over there at third.
Connor Seckler now getting loose in the pen, so we'll have to see if Weatherby is done after this inning, or if he can even make it through this full inning.
I like the idea to go to Seckler, as this pitch will miss out of the zone and make it a 3-2 count, because again, he took a little bit of a break, went to, I believe it was a wedding, and came back. So he's the only guy in the rotation that has not thrown since the All-Star game, and today would have been his day to pitch. Weatherby ready with the 3-2. Here it comes. That will be hit out into left field, chasing it back and settling under to make the catch is Chris Galland for out number one.
Yeah, good piece of opposite field hitting by Davis, the Vanderbilt product, but fortunately for him, he hits it right at Chris Galland, who's been one of the better defensive outfielders in the entire CCPL this season.
Yeah, Galland's made a couple of highlight reel plays this year as he has really been all over the place defensively. So back to the top of the order we go. It'll be Houston Morrill coming up for a second at bat. He doubled back in the first inning and looking to start things off here with one away for the Chatham A's in the third. Time called here. It'll be granted to Morrill. Standing in from the right side, and here comes the pitch. Off speed will be in there on the outer half, and Weatherby gets ahead of yet another hitter here. 0-1.
Mentioned earlier, the Mariners 1-3 this season against Chatham. The only team they're worst against in the East is Orleans at 1-4.
Yeah, it's been a tough bout against the Orleans Firebirds as this one's taken up the 5-hole. It'll get into left field, and Chris Galland can only pick it up and fire it in. So back-to-back hits here to start Houston Morrill's afternoon. And he's got the Chatham A's back in business here with one away.
Back-to-back hard-hit balls by Morrill. I mean, Weatherby has been the beneficiary of a couple of Adam balls, including the one just before Morrill's single, Cooper Davis's fly out to left. But Morrill's found a couple of gaps so far, and he's got the only 2 hits in the ball game for Chatham, 10 batters into the game.
So here comes Kaden Polkovic, who struck out to Weatherby his first time up. First pitch is on its way, and Colin, I think it's worth noting, this is the first time, Houston Morrill is the first guy that Jared Weatherby has faced in the same game twice throughout the entirety of his Harwich careers. He was used as a 1-inning reliever before and then used as a 1-inning starter. So this is the second time he's gone. Actually, this is the first time he's gone a 3rd inning throughout the entirety of his Harwich career, and he climbs the ladder here with an off-speed pitch that Kaden Polkovic misses to make it a 1-1 count.
I think he only went more than 1 inning once before that, so he really hasn't gone more than 1 inning a lot. But we see him this time going to try to make it 3.
Weatherby sets, checks the runner back to first. So a throw over, and the count stays 1-1. They're going to call it a balk, and that's going to give Houston Morrill second base.
Yep, it did look like kind of an awkward move over to first, like he kind of hesitated, and he made this weird motion, I think with his arm, or maybe his pitching shoulders. Coach Englert's going to come out and talk with the home plate umpire, Joe Laspinera, but yeah, it looked like a clear balk there, and just a kind of an unnatural pickoff move. And it's like either the home plate umpire or the first base umpire had picked up on that and awarded second base to Morrill.
And I think it was the home plate umpire because that's the one that was giving an explanation to Jared Weatherby. So a runner moves up into scoring position, and for the second time today, it is Houston Morrill, who is now just 2 bags away. But here the Harwich Mariners with a 1-0 lead in the 3rd inning. 1 away, and Kaden Polkovic at the plate with a 1-1 count. So the 1-1 from Weatherby as he sets, checks the runner to second, and brings it home. It'll be off speed. That misses high and away, and the count is 2-1.
Yeah, with Noisy holding the runner at second, a lot of space on the right side of the infield. Cavadas is playing well behind the bag, so that gives him a little bit more range, but Polkovic can get one through the right side of the infield. That might be enough to plate the tying run.
Weatherby sets, Polkovic ready. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. That'll be fouled off, and the count is even here at 2 apiece. Again, Kaden Polkovic has been one of the most consistent hitters in the lineup all season long, as he is hitting a cool .293 on the year, an on-base percentage of .408, and that's been one of the bright spots for this team, as their on-base percentage is .345 on the year. It's been a bit slow going over the course of the last 2 weeks for the Anglers, but they've continued to find ways to win baseball games, and as the runner takes off, it's going to be a chance for Winkle to get him. Terada takes it, but the throw is not there in time. And it's going to be a stolen base as Houston Morrill moves up to be 90 feet away. Still 1 out for the Chatham Anglers.
Yeah, great jump by Morrill. I mean, Winkle did pretty much everything right, and the pitch was a beneficial pitch on the outside part of the plate, so he could pop up easily. A good tag over at third by Terada, but just too much speed from Morrill in that leadoff spot.
So Morrill's now 90 feet away. That's the tying run here in the visitors' half of the 3rd inning. The pitch to Polkovic. He will pop that one foul, and we will do it again with a 3-2 count.
Yeah, surprisingly, that's the first steal of the season for Houston Morrill. Looked like he's had 10 steals this season the way he jumped off of second base.
So with the 3-2, it'll be another pitch coming to Kaden Polkovic, who's already struck out once today, looking to avoid doing that for a second time. Here comes the payoff. And once again, it's spoiled, so this at-bat turning into a lengthy one. Jared Weatherby, you get the feeling, regardless of whether or not he finishes this inning out, which he likely will, this will probably be the end of the road for his start with Connor Seckler warming up in the bullpen. And Seckler's a guy that's gone 6 innings a number of times this year, so wonder whether or not he'll have at least the next 5, maybe the next 6, depending on how things go. Here's the payoff again, and that'll miss high for ball 4, so it's going to be a 9-pitch walk here to Kaden Polkovic, and there are runners at the corners with 1 away for Ben Ramirez.
Yeah, good job by Polkovic to draw out that at-bat, making Weatherby throw a lot of pitches. I'm sure he knew that he's closer towards the end of the rope, but not only that, now you got runners at the corners with the heart of the lineup to open a guy who has seen the ball really well against the Mariners this season, Ben Ramirez.
Yep, this is a golden opportunity here for the Chatham Anglers. They've got Houston Morrill on third, Polkovic on second. Here's a shot to second, picked up, throw to Noisy for 1, across back for 2, and it's going to be a 6-4-3 double play for the Mariners to get out of it unscathed. They still lead at 1-0, and we'll try to add to that when we come back in the third here on the Mariners YouTube Network. As we go to the home half of the third, Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey here. Mariners doing battle with the Chatham Anglers, and it's been a tight one so far. The M's have a lead, but just narrowly, 1-0. And Colin, they really got out of some trouble as they had runners at the corners with 1 away, but a clutch double play gets them out of it.
Yeah, Ben Ramirez with a hard hit ball right to short, but played perfectly by Hal Hughes. He had a nice flip to Noisy onto second, and the return throw to Cavadas in plenty of time to end the inning.
So coming out there for a third inning of his own is Luke Bartnicki. Still no action up in the Chatham bullpen, so you wonder whether or not the game will be his for another inning after this, as he gets out ahead of Max Marshak. Marshak pulls the bat back, and the count goes 2-0 here.
You definitely don't want to walk Marshak, the 9-hitter, due to the fact that he provides a lot of speed in that 9 hole, and then you have more speed with Noisy and Galland immediately after.
We've seen a number of times where he's been walked and then steals second, moves around to third, and comes across to score on a weakly hit ground ball or something in the outfield. So putting him on for free, certainly not an option for opposing pitchers, especially when you consider that he's been arguably one of the bottom bats in the Harwich lineup this year, as Max Marshak comes into today's game hitting just $129. So he'll take strike 2 on the inside half. Marshak this year has 6 hits and 47 at-bats, but he has reached base on 4 walks this year, and that's been where he's gotten the majority of his on-base time, as he fouls this one away to keep the count 2-2.
And with his speed, the goal obviously to keep the ball on the ground and see if he can lay out something in the infield, as payoff pitch upcoming.
It'll be the 2-2, and Marshak will foul that one away. And actually it is 3-2 here. Waiting on the scoreboard to catch up. So a full count here. And the pitch from Marshak, or the pitch to Marshak. That'll miss inside, ball 4, and there it is, Colin. The fastest guy on the Harwich Mariners, one of the 5 fastest guys in the entire Cape Cod League, is going to be issued his 5th free pass of the year, and now more speed and Dylan Noisy coming up to the plate.
And not ideal for Marshak, but he's got to be careful over at first base. We've seen plenty of times this year the Mariners been picked off against a Chatham Anglers pitcher.
So we'll see how aggressive they want to get with Marshak. He did get on yesterday in a game that had already been decided and didn't steal, but he had a close lead there. He does not have one here, taking a pretty aggressive lead off of first base. Noisy stands in. Here comes the first pitch, and he'll watch that one in for strike one.
Noisy hit a fly ball pretty hard out towards left center field. Didn't miss a home run by much, but he kind of caught on the inside part of the bat. Couldn't quite get his hands around in time.
So we'll see whether he can square one up here. So far, Dylan is 0 for 1, as you mentioned. Quick throw over to keep Marshak close at first.
Hasn't had a great season against Chatham this year in general, just 1 of 10, but he has reached base via walk 3 times. So his patience hasn't been an issue against the A's.
Trying to be patient here as Bartnicki delivers the next pitch, and that will miss high, so the count goes 1-1. And for the Harwich Mariners, you got to think no lead's going to feel safe against a Chatham team that has already completed two comebacks against them this year. They want to try to build a steady lead here. 4 or 5 runs would feel good, but they'll take what they can get where they can get it. Marshak gets a huge lead. They have a chance, and how about that? He should have been caught dead to rights as Marshak not only got caught leaning, but got caught taking off for second. The throw from Bartnicki was over to first base to Alex Terrell, and his throw can't even come close to catching Marshak at second base.
Well, that's kind of what you have to do when you get in a situation like that and you have Max Marshak speed. You just fully commit to second base and don't even look back. So he goes and gets a good jump despite the pickoff move and is just able to dive in beneath the tag to steal second base.
Some guys just have so much speed that even a good throw like that doesn't matter. So a runner in scoring position here for Harwich with nobody away, and he continues to taunt Bartnicki as Noisy's going to line this one down the line. That'll easily score Marshak, who can jog home, and Noisy's going to be in with a stand-up RBI double. The Mariners are out to a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, this time Dylan Noisy able to get his hands around. The last time he got jammed and kind of got under it a little bit, but instead he ropes this one down the left field line and he chases in his Texas Tech teammate. The Mariners off to a good start. See if they can have a different ending as the time that they took a 2-0 lead in Game 1 between these two teams at White House Field weren't able to hold on. But offensively, this is a much different team than that game.
And with the top of the order coming up no less, Noisy leading things off. So here comes Chris Gallant, who is 0 for 1 today with a strikeout. But the runner stays in scoring position, still a lot of speed, and Gallant squaring a bunt will pull that back. Chris Gallant was in the lineup for the Harwich Mariners yesterday. It was a tough 0 for 4 day before Riley Terrata came in to pinch hit for him. Then, of course, was resting up the day before that. So the 1-0 to Gallant, who squares once again to bunt. Tries to pull it back, but this one's going to catch the zone, and the count goes 1-1 here on Chris.
It was the third double of the season for Dylan Noisy, and that plates his 8th run driven in.
Talk about a guy who's been picking it up over the course of the last couple weeks. He started it off with a 2-home run game here at White House Field and really just never looked back as Bartnicki's 1-1 will miss inside. Count goes 2-1 here over the course of Dylan Noisy's last 10 games. He's hitting .240 with 7 RBIs. Bartnicki will check Noisy back to second. Here comes the 2-1 to Gallant. He will chop that one foul down the third base line, and the count evens here at 2-2.
It looks like Mason Hazelwood finally, slowly but surely, getting loose in that Chatham bullpen.
So it'll likely be Hazelwood's after this, as Harwich's endless quest not only for a playoff spot but for 500 continues. We thought they were going to have it a few days ago at YD as they entered the first game against the Red Sox with an 18-19 record. They left 18-19-1 and then lost yesterday's rubber match as YD takes the season series. So the 2-2 count. Here comes Chris Gallant facing off against Luke Bartnicki here in his third inning of work. The pitch. And he will take that one right at the second baseman as Houston Morrill had to take about a half step to his left, and it was right at him. Thought that one might have hung up, but it did not, and that'll be the first out of the inning.
Yeah, and you talked about Harwich not being able to get the job done against YD with a tie and a loss in that home and home. You'd actually have to go back to July 24th, the last time that Harwich was able to pick up a victory against an Eastern opponent. That was in the first game of a doubleheader between them and the Orleans Firebirds, where Jacob Polish threw a 7-inning no-hitter.
So if I'm not mistaken, the last 2 games that Harwich has gotten victories in against the East have been a complete game no-hitter from Jacob Polish and a 8 scoreless inning performance by Connor McCullough, as this one is flied to right field. Caliwow will settle under it and make the catch. Runner tags, and Noisy will be up to third base easily, but with 2 outs, it could be of little to no consequence.
Yeah, but I mean, it looked like Caliwow really struggled to find that ball off the bat at first, and it kind of tailed off towards his right a little bit at the end, so that prevented him from making a solid throw in, and good jump from the speedy Noisy gets him into third base easily with 2 away.
So here's Chris Lanzilli, who's already had 1 double today. He came across to score the first run of the game and has an opportunity to maybe drive another one in here. Lanzilli hitting .346 over the course of his last 10 games. He's added 6 RBIs to that total, and here comes his first pitch. He will chop this one down the third base line. He's got some speed. He could beat it out. It's going to be under the glove of Baxton Wallace at third. So it's going to go down as an RBI single here. As again, Lanzilli has the speed. Even if Wallace had been able to pick that up, I think he would have beat it out at first. So a base hit's going to be given here to Lanzilli, and it's another RBI onto his total as Noisy comes across to score the 3rd run of the afternoon.
And I'm pretty sure with the 2 hits here, that's going to put Lanzilli's batting average in the month of July almost at 300. So he just continues to see the ball well in this month after a really rough June. I think that trip to Omaha really cleared his head and changed his narrative this season.
I mean, we've been talking about that all season long and how important that was. The first pitch to Nico Cavadas is going to be in there for a strike. Of course, during the aforementioned month of June, it was not an ideal month for Chris Lanzilli, who batted just 107, had 1 RBI, and 3 total bases. The 0-1 pitch. That'll miss well outside. Good stop by Keaton Rice. And the count goes 1-1 here on Nico Cavadas.
It's important, too, that the Mariners are able to get runs early, as we've seen what Chatham's bullpen has done against the Mariners this season, including Austin Vernon, who had a great outing last time out when he picked up a victory.
1-1 right down the pipe. Cavadas probably wishes he had that pitch back, and it'll be a 1-2 count here, but Harwich again leading it 3-0 here over top of the Chatham Anglers. They had I don't think they've had a 3-0 lead before. They had a 2-0 lead here at White House Field 2 times before. One game was a 2-0 win. The other resulted in a 3-2 loss. The 1-2 is going to be called strike 3. Cavadas will go down looking, and that will retire the side, but not before Harwich strikes for 2 and take a 3-0 lead over the Chatham Anglers. When we come back, we'll head to the 4th here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Welcome back to White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bring you another edition of Harwich Mariners baseball. The Mariners jump out to a 3-0 lead behind a couple of hits and an RBI from Chris Lanzilli, who's done a great job at the plate through his first 2 at-bats. And for the Mariners, it was a great first 3 innings from Jared Weatherby as he goes 3 scoreless, giving up just 2 hits, walking 2 and striking out 4. And the new pitcher is going to be the usual starting pitcher in Connor Seckler, but I think that's now back-to-back appearances for Seckler in which he's appeared out of the bullpen, Tyler.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Seckler came in and got what was a unofficial save, if you will, in the game right before the All-Star game, before he departed for the wedding. So coming back here, and this is not a token start for him, as he's typically been the guy going longer innings for the Harwich Mariners, but his second relief appearance of the year, and Weatherby had a really good start. I mean, you take a look at what he did. 3 innings. He gave up just the 2 hits and 2 walks. He had 3 strikeouts and didn't allow a single run to come across. So an ideal start for the game, or to the game, for Jared Weatherby. And Now Seckler will be coming in for what I would imagine would be at least the next 4 to 5 innings, and then we'll see, depending on how close the game, whether or not we see a guy like Joe Boyle come in to try to shut the door.
4, 5, and 6 hitters due up for Chatham Anglers, so Connor Seckler will be greeted by the Wichita State shocker Paxton Wallace, who struck out swinging in his first at-bat to end the top of the first inning. Wallace this season has had a up-and-down year, hitting .222 with 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. In fact, one of those 2 home runs coming against Harwich in the first meeting between these two teams at Veterans Field.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not they can contain him as Wallace comes up. First pitch is going to be delivered by Seckler.
And it's going to just miss, so Seckler looking to improve on what's been a, much like Wallace, kind of an up-and-down season for the righty out of Missouri State, as Wallace swings and hits a ball high in the air out towards shallow center. Marshak's going to come in, and he will make the catch for out number 1.
And that's one of those plays where Max Marshak, I mean, plenty of center fielders could make that play, but Marshak is so quick that he makes it look easy. He had time to settle under it before that thing dropped into his glove. So here comes Alex Terrell, 0 for 1 with a strikeout today, and we'll see whether or not he can get things started, as the A's have had a way to get a base runner in all 3 innings so far, but have not brought a single run across the score yet.
Seckler working from the windup. First pitch to Terrell is swung on and missed as it was down just below the kneecaps. He goes and chases it and falls behind 0-1. Seckler working quickly, and he fires in a pitch that'll just miss inside to even count.
Yep, and Connor Seckler, you're going to see a fastball, slider, changeup, and then he's been developing a cutter this summer. So we've seen him mix that in a time or two, and it's really kept hitters off balance.
1-1 is over for a strike. Terrell this season has done pretty well against righties, but lefties been a completely different story. But that balances out for a .224 batting average, 2 homers, and 17 RBIs. 1-2 misses low. Terrell also a strikeout victim to Jared Weatherby to kick off the second inning. And he waits the 2-2 foul tip, but Pat Winkle unable to hang on to it, so the count will remain 2-2.
Yep, and again, it's one of those situations Seckler's found himself in a number of times this year. He's done pretty good job of getting the strikeout pitch, so we'll see whether or not he has something locked in to go to here to try to retire Terrell.
Another 2-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3, and it gets away from Winkle. Winkle, I believe, thought that ball was tipped, but instead it goes to the backstop, so be a 1-out base runner for Alex Terrell, and he reaches first on a drop third strike.
Yep, and again, you take base runners any way you can get them. So far, Chatham has had a couple of hits, but aside from that, it's been a walk and now the drop third strike that has put runners on base. So this is the second time in the game that they've had the leadoff runner aboard, and here comes Kendrick Caliwow trying to keep things going.
Caliwow grounded out to short in the second. They look to try to put a dent into this 3-0 deficit. First pitch to him is hit out towards left center field. Marshak is chased back, but he will make the catch just in front of the warning track for an out, and Terrell's going to tag up and take second. That is a heads-up play as he's now in scoring position with 2 away.
And I don't think that, I mean, that seems to have caught Marshak off guard, as, you know, we've seen his arm and what he can do this year. He kind of just tossed that one in, but if he had seen it fast enough and had come up firing, he might have had a shot to get Terrell at second. Nonetheless, he's going to put another runner in scoring position here. The situation has been given to the Chatham Anglers already 3 times in this game.
So Charlie Welch will dig in. Walked in his first plate appearance. Now looking to drive in the first Chatham run of the ball game. First pitch from Seckler, misses low and outside. Charlie Welch out of St. John's River State. The 178 batting average this season, but seen the ball a lot better in July, hitting .318. 1-0 is a high fly ball out towards left. Gallen moving over towards the foul line, and he is camped under. It'll make the catch for out number 3. So despite the drop third strike with 1 away, Chatham cannot threaten further. We're through 3.5 from White House Field. Mariners with a 3-0 lead. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Luke Bartnicki will head out for his 4th inning of work. His team trailing 3-0 to the Harwich Mariners as Chatham looks to bounce back and pick up their 24th victory of the season as Tyler Henry's stat sheet goes flying out the window, and looks like we might have a defensive substitution to report.
Yep, we'll have that in just a moment. I'd love to tell you who it is, but I no longer have a roster in front of me, so I'll get a new one here in just a moment. But yeah, for the time being, it's going to be Bartnicki out there. And Colin, got an update on that defensive substitution?
Looking around yet, can't really tell just yet. And actually, Jorge Arenas has now entered the game, and he is in at second base. It looks like. Yep, he's in at second base over Houston Morrill, which makes absolutely no sense because Morrill's been 2 for 2. Unless Morrill perhaps changed positions, we'll have to kind of update you on that. But for right now, we head to the bottom of the 4th, and Harwich looks to pat onto their lead with Pat Winkle leading things off.
Well, keep in mind, Arenas did have the big-time 2-run bomb against Harwich as the first pitch is fouled away. So could be just a matter of trying to get somebody in, although you'd think if you wanted to put him in the game, there are plenty of other spots that you could potentially plug him in at. So an interesting move to say the least, but we'll see what it does to the lineup here as they do have a couple of options.
The shenanigans continue as there's a slow ground ball to first base as Bartnicki will cover. Easy flip on to first by Terrell, and Pat Winkle's retired to begin the bottom of the 4th.
And as Hal Hughes comes to the plate, let's give you an update on the scores around the league. It was a 7-1 victory for the Wareham Gatemen over the Hyannis Harborhawks earlier today, but in relevant Eastern news, the Whitey Red Sox have jumped out to a 5-0 lead over the Katuitt Kettleers. Again, if the Whitey Red Sox win today, they will take that second playoff spot. And more importantly to the Mariners, the Brewster Whitecaps still lead the Orleans Firebirds 2-0. That game currently in the bottom of the 4th, and then a couple of games knotted up at 0-0, the Wareham Gatemen and Hyannis Harborhawks, and Falmouth and Bourne.
Hal Hughes lays off a pitch that just misses for ball 1. Hughes owns one of the 3 runs batted in for Harwich. Drove in run number 1 on a fielder's choice in the 2nd. Look to reach base again against Bartnicki, and he'll flare one down the right field line. Terrell gives it a look, but it is out of play.
Yep, so we'll see if Hal Hughes can continue doing what he does best, and lately that's been just finding ways to get on base. Again, he already has the RBI fielder's choice today that is part of the reason the Mariners lead at 3-0 right now.
Still no action in the Chatham bullpen, so Bartnicki could even go another inning. We'll have to see as 1-1 misses in the dirt. As Mason Hazelwood was tossing the ball around a little bit during the last inning, but didn't really turn into anything serious.
Yeah, Bartnicki's been averaging 3 innings a game.
Ground ball up the middle, fresh into the ball game. It's Arenas. He has to make a tough throw, but it is in time. So Jorge Arenas gets some action immediately after being a defensive substitution, and it's 2 up, 2 down to begin the 4th for Chatham.
Number 34, the third baseman.
So Riley Tirado will get an opportunity. He grounded into a force out to end the 2nd inning.
And really quickly, I just saw Houston Morrill is in, I believe, over there at shortstop.
So it appears Ben Ramirez might have been the one taken out. First pitch is way outside for ball 1.
Of course, Ramirez is 0 for 2 today with a pair of ground outs, one of which was an inning-ending double play in the 3rd, so that makes a lot more sense than replacing the 2 for 2 Houston Morrill.
1-0 is just outside. Tirada, believe, is playing in his first game not against the YD Red Sox this season as a member of the Harwich Mariners.
It's his first start against the non-YD Red Sox. He did have that one pinch hit against a different team earlier this year. We'll get an update on that as I flip through my scorebook. But the 2-0.
And it's going to miss outside, so a hitter's count for Tirada, 3-0 now with Max Marshak waiting the on-deck circle, who scored the 2nd run of the ball game after walking, stealing 2nd, and being driven in by Dylan Noisy. Bartnicki's 3-0 is taken for strike 1.
And really quickly, Riley Tirada got a pinch hit against the Hyannis Harborhawks back on July 16th. He was able to reach on a walk and come across to score.
So Tirada looking to add to his 125 batting average coming into today as the pitch will miss outside for ball 4, so that'll help the on-base percentage as he struts down to first for a 1-out walk.
And you know, for Riley Tirada, he's a pretty big dude. You look at him out there, and he stands at 6'3", but he's been walked an awful lot this year. Actually, that's just the 2nd time he's been walked, but it feels like he's been walked a lot. Mentioning the last one, I thought he had one the other day too, but apparently not.
So actually 2 outs in the inning, and Max Marshak looked to keep things going.
Marshak reached on a walk of his own and came around to score back in the 3rd inning and had a pinch hit, base hit a couple of days ago against YD.
Bartnitke's first pitch is in at the knees to Marshak for a strike.
And that's reassuring for how little he was getting on base at the beginning parts of the season, but last couple of days he's really picked it up, and Harwich has been able to use that to pick up a few much-needed runs.
YD Red Sox have extended their lead now 5-0 over the Katuitt Kettleers, that one in the bottom of the 5th. As starting and stopping over at first was Terada as Marshak fouls a pitch off to the right.
So it'll be an 0-2 count here, and it's going to have to be more protective of the plate as Max Marshak. Again, that ball he hit yesterday, really driven well. It just found a way to get it through the gap and found his way on to first.
Bartnitke comes set. Long pause and a look at first, and now the 0-2. And it'll miss up and away.
Yep, so the patience continues here out of Max Marshak, who's looking to continue an inning that Harwich is looking for one run in here.
Hazelwood looks to get loose once again in the Brewster bullpen, or the Chatham bullpen. But still no throwing from the mound yet. And another pickoff move, and the ball's thrown away. Sliding into second is Terada. He'll head to third, and he will get there easily. He's going to round third and be held up as a disastrous pickoff throw by Bartnitke as it gets past Terral, and it's a 2-base error that puts Riley Terada 90 feet away from home.
And oh boy, here we go again, because that was similar to what we saw with Max Marshak, and of course, Marshak held up at second as the throw didn't get past him, but Harwich has been caught leaning twice today, and ironically enough, instead of a pair of outs, they've gotten 3 bases out of it.
So a runner at third, a 1-2 count with 2 away. The pitch swung on a miss, strike 3, so the error does not come back to haunt the Anglers, and the side is retired. We've played 4 from White House Field. It is Harwich 3, Chatham nothing. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Connor Seckler onto his 2nd inning of work as we head to the top half of the 5th inning. The Mariners still leading 3-0 in a very important game in terms of playoff implications, Tyler.
Yeah, every game is becoming the most important game of the Harwich Mariners season, but especially in a day where, again, the Brewster Whitecaps currently lead 2-0 over the Orleans Firebirds. They're just a game back. So if they were to win and Harwich were to lose today, these teams would be dead even going into the series coming up here in a few days where Harwich is going to have to face off against Brewster twice. And Colin, these teams are so close, I think it doesn't really matter where things are before that, as it's going to come down to which team has the advantage in that 2-game series. And my stat sheet found its way back to me as one of the team cameramen bringing it back up. Very appreciative of that.
So it'll be Keaton Rice leading things off. 8, 9, and 1 hitters due up. Rice, the catcher, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And the first pitch from Seckler is swung on and fouled off to the left. A jam shot that goes out of play.
Yep, Seckler's looked good so far as he gave up the 1 base runner on a technicality. It was the drop 3rd strike back in the 3rd inning. But aside from that, 3 up, 3 down inning, and of course the strikeout does still go to his credit.
Keaton Rice out of Geneseo, Illinois. Bradley University as the 0-1 misses high and outside. Rice this month hitting 200 with just the 1 RBI, and he takes a pitch over the plate and he finds himself behind now to Seckler 1 and 2.
Yep, and of course, everybody in the Cape League going to be in action over the course of the next few days trying to cram all these games in, as most teams have a few rainouts to make up.
That pitch is over for a called strike 3, a breaking ball from Seckler, and Rice is retired via the K for the second time in this one away in the top of the 5th.
Yep, and here comes Cooper Davis, who's also posting an 0 for 1 today, so if they can find a way to get through him and have Houston Morrill hit with nobody on, that would be helpful, as Morrill is still 2 for 2 today.
So Davis, who was originally slated to bat 7th before all the lineup changes, will take a first pitch strike.
Yep, Davis coming out of Vanderbilt. He's the first Canadian-born player to attend the University of Vanderbilt.
He's part of that team that won the College World Series, and I'm sure it's something he certainly will never forget, as it was a very hard-fought series between them and the Michigan Wolverines. The 0-2 in the dirt for a ball.
Yeah, Michigan team that kind of came out of nowhere and surprised some teams, including Texas Tech, which boasted guys like Dylan Noisy and Max Marshak.
1-2 is just off the outside part of the plate, as some pretty solid control so far from Seckler. The only base runner he has surrendered through an inning and a third was on a drop third strike, the 2-2. Just misses once again, so he's not missing by much when he does miss the zone.
Yeah, once again, not a bad placement there, but with a 3-2 count, he'll have to put something closer to the zone. Cooper Davis not content with chasing the low and away.
Payoff pitch is just off the outside corner for ball 4. So Davis, with a patient at-bat, walks down to first, and it's a one-out base runner for Chatham, who's desperately trying to get on the scoreboard here in the 5th.
And for the first time today, Houston Morrill will hit with a runner on base, as he has a double and a single. He's reached scoring position both times he's come to the plate, and see whether or not he can continue his hot streak and help his team put a run on the board.
Morrill is both of the 2 Chatham hits in this game. Mariners with 3 runs on 3 hits, as quick pickoff on the runner Davis. Morrill now over at short after the defensive changes, with Jorge Arenas being entered into the ball game. There's a chopper towards the left side. That's going to get through for Houston Morrill's 3rd hit of the ball game. And now with 2 on and 1 away, the tying run comes to the plate in Kaden Polkovic.
Yep, and sometimes you get a guy who just can't be stopped on a particular day. The defense, with where they were playing back there at double play depth, there was a lot of space, and Hal Hughes couldn't run over fast enough to get a glove on it. So 2 on here, 1 away, and Kaden Polkovic at the plate. He's 0 for 1 today, but he did reach on a walk back in the 3rd inning.
Polkovic looking to pick up a base hit here that might be able to bring home the first Chatham run of the ball game, as that pitch is on the outside corner for a strike.
Could potentially have the hit that brings home all 3 and ties it up, as Polkovic this season, not a stranger to the home run ball, as he's put 3 over the fence this year.
The 0-1 is low and inside coming from Seckler. Seckler on the year as a whole is 2-2 with a 3.15 ERA. Struck out 22 compared to just 7 walks, and here he misses low and inside to Polkovic. So Jorge Arenas will be waiting on deck instead of Ben Ramirez, who is taken out last inning as a defensive sub. 2-1. Low once again, so Seckler struggling a little bit finding the zone, and definitely don't want to load the bases for Jorge Arenas.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to pitch carefully to Kaden Polkovic, and I mean, I totally understand that with how good Polkovic has been this year, but at some point you got to trust your stuff. He's been good all season long. See if he challenges him here.
And he does, as there's a fastball that swung on and missed to fill the count.
Yep, not a bad idea. When in doubt, go with the high cheese, and he's able to get Polkovic out in front of that one. So with a 3-2 count, a couple of choices here for Connor Seckler. Let's see what he goes with.
Davis at second, Morrill at first. 1 out in the inning. The payoff pitch is a high fly ball down the left field line. Tirado will give it a look, but it will make it onto the grassy hill just to the left of the fence down the left field line.
Yep, staying in foul territory there, so another payoff coming, and not a bad pitch there by Seckler, as he was able to put it in a pretty good spot, but Colt Polkovic able to get a little bit of the bat on it.
Seckler look over at second. Now the 3-2 is hit in the air out to center. Marshak started back, now coming in, makes the catch. Bluffing is Davis, but he will retreat to second. And ball actually kind of came up on Terada. He's able to keep it in front of him, so no further advances. There's now 2 out in the inning.
Yep, and now Harwich can focus on getting the final out and getting out of this inning. As again, they've had to deal with a runner in scoring position in 4 different innings so far today, and so far nobody's come across. But here comes a guy that hurt them dearly earlier this year. It's this Jorge Arenas, who's checked in for Ben Ramirez.
Arenas 0 for 2. Ground out, and then he ground into a double play in the 3rd inning.
Ramirez was 0 for 2, and Arenas now at the dish.
First pitch, misses high for a ball. Noisy playing relatively close to the base, so a little bit of space on the right side of the infield. Hughes playing with his toes on the outfield grass at short. The 1-0 is hit in the air out to left. Galland has to take a couple of steps back, but he makes a catch, and that retires the side. So, despite having 2 on with 1 away, Chatham still unable to score against Harwich Mariners pitching. We're halfway through this one. 3-0 the Mariners lead. You're watching Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the 5th inning from White House Field, and Luke Bartnitke will stay out there to try to get a 5th inning of work, as still haven't seen Mason Hazelwood enter the game yet, but he continues to get loose in the bullpen, and it'll be the top of the order due up for Harwich: Noisy, Galland, and Cabrera.
Feels like we've seen Hazelwood getting loose for the last couple of innings, and at some point that might take a toll on his performance when and if he finally comes into the game, as the first pitch to Noisy's in there for a strike.
Noisy did an RBI double in his last at-bat, would then come around to score on an RBI infield single from Chris Lanzilli in that 2-run 3rd inning. And Noisy swings and fouls a pitch straight back. He's down 0-2. Noisy with that 2-home-run game coming against the YD Red Sox about a week and a half ago. He is the only other player with multiple home runs this season outside of Nico Cavadas. And he swings at an 0-2 and hits on the ground. Charging is Arenas. He throws on the run to first, and Noisy is retired. 1 away in the bottom of the 5th.
So a quick scoreboard update for you. Out in the West, the Falmouth Commodores with a solo shot take a 1-0 lead on the Bourne Braves. Falmouth is currently riding an 11-game winning streak, which is tied for the 6th longest winning streak in Cape League history. If they win today, they would extend it to 12 and be tied for 4th. There are only three winning streaks longer than 12 in Cape League history.
Ground ball to third. It's going to be a foul ball. So Chris Gallen catching a break there, as that's actually the longest winning streak right now at 11 since 2002. You have to go back to Katuitt, who won 13 in a row that year. So at least in the 21st century, one of the more impressive win streaks for Falmouth.
Yep, and then of course the Katuitt Kettleers with the 2nd longest and 18-game winning streak in 1964, and the Chatham Anglers winning 20 consecutive games back in 1966. So modern era Cape League records, at least since the records have been kept. Those are your longest score or winning streaks, and Falmouth may not be done yet.
0-1 to Gallon skips in for a ball. Commodores, of course, were, I believe, 13-12-1 before the winning streak started, so they've really turned things around as the 1-1 misses outside. Not that they were a team that was struggling earlier in the year, but they were really struggling to get games in with all the weather delays that we had.
Well, and you kind of picked it out. You said their average stats are really high. It's just the numbers that need to catch up as they start playing more games.
Pop up just behind third base, and a tough play over on the mound by Paxton Wallace as he stumbles but is able to hang on, and Galland pops out for out number 2.
Yeah, that's a tough play to make for anybody going up onto the bump, so credit to Paxton Wallace as he retires the second out, and here comes Daniel Cabrera, who himself is 0 for 2 today.
Number 4, the right
Cabrera
fielder,
ground out in the first and flew out to right in the third. His flyout did set up the runner over at third, as he'll take the first pitch for a ball.
One other game going on in the West, the Wareham Gatemen in the second half of the doubleheader have broken the deadlock and now lead 1-0 over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
Ground ball to second. Arenas charging, very similar to the play against Noisy, and he makes the easy throw on to first. So it's a 1-2-3 fifth for Luke Bartnitke and the Chatham Anglers. They look to get the bats going in the bottom half, or in the top half of the sixth. Through 5 from White House Field, 3-0 Harwich leads. You're listening and watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners Radio and YouTube network. Connor Seckler continues to be successful out of the bullpen as 2 shutout innings so far. He looks to make it 3 in the top half of the sixth, and Tyler currently finds himself in line to pick up his 3rd win of the season.
Yeah, he hasn't really had too many mistakes throughout the game. He gave up 1 single and 1 walk, but aside from that, just a drop third strike, and he's retired every other hitter he's faced. So it'll be the middle of the order as he will see Paxton Wallace, Alex Terrell, and Kendrick Caliwow, and see whether or not he can continue his dominant reign. Again, being able to use him later into games when you get to start with Jared Weatherby earlier on could be helpful at Harwich, and we'll see whether or not it pays off for him here.
First pitch to the righty, Paxton Wallace is inside for a ball. Wallace 0 for 2. He struck out swinging in the first, flew out to center to begin the fourth. As the 1-0 is on the outside corner for a strike. Pair of strikeouts so far in the outing for Seckler out of the pen. 4 strikeouts from the starter Weatherby, as Wallace now ahead 1-2.
It's been kind of a tough July for Connor Seckler, is boasting a 5.4 ERA throughout the month. A lot of his best work done in the month of June.
Swing and strike 3 as Wallace chases 1 in the dirt. He strikes out for the second time. It'll be 1 down now to begin the top of the sixth.
And I'll tell you what, this has certainly been his best start of the month. I was going to get to that just after saying that, but again, he has really bounced back here in this one, and he hasn't really had a big opportunity. You remember the last 2 times he had come into pitch, one was the 1 inning where he came in to close out the 9th before the All-Star break, and then the other time he came in to start, he pitched 3 scoreless innings against Katuitt, and then the game got rained out. So hasn't really had a chance. This is the first game he's been brought into in a big-time spot, and he'll miss the first pitch here to Alex Terrell for ball 1.
Terrell struck out twice, but he was able to reach base in the fourth on a drop third. And speaking of drop, that pitch gets past Pat Winkle. He's unable to hang on to it, so Terrell ahead in the count now 2-0. Had that big game-tying double against the Harwich Mariners last time these two teams played. That tied it 4-4 at the time as he swings through pitch.
Seems like in every game between these two, with the exception of the 2-0 victory for Harwich, Chatham has been able to find one guy that just comes out and haunts the Mariners.
Fastball misses outside, so Seckler looking to avoid walking his second batter. Slight shift from the infield on Terral as swinging a foul tip in the mitt with Hal Hughes playing really close to the second base bag and Dylan Noisy playing in shallow right. So it's a full count now. Seckler with the payoff. And it's rolled over and hit to second. Noisy fields it cleanly and lobs it on over to first for the second out of the inning.
And to his credit, Dylan Noisy's looked really good over there at second base today. I think this is just the second time he's played there this season for a guy that wasn't even an infielder at Texas Tech. He hasn't pitched or he hasn't played on the infield since high school, but Harwich said, hey, we got a logjam in the outfield. If you'd like to come, we'd really love to see you play shortstop. And after Hal Hughes looked a little bit shaky over at second, they elect to go this way. It's worked out to Harwich's credit so far.
First pitch to Kendrick Caliwow is over for a strike, and Noisy has been tested a little bit so far at a couple of putouts. Also helped turn a 6-4-3 double play to end the third inning on Ben Ramirez as Caliwow way out in front of that pitch. It's a cue shot down the first base line, and looks like it might have actually broken his bat, so he's going to head to the dugout and get new lumber.
Yep, and we'll see what Seckler goes with here. Again, Seckler working through what'll be his third inning of work. He's gotten the 2 strikeouts so far. He's only allowed 2 or 3 base runners.
It's one of the rare situations where Caliwow was out in front of a pitch and broke his bat. Usually it's the other way around. You get a fastball in on the hands, and that's what does your bat in, but instead it hit off the end of the bat and put a crack in it, so with some new wood, he will try to fight back, being down 0-2 to Seckler in the count.
Yep, rocking the blue bat now.
The 0-2 is ground ball to short. Hughes reaches down, makes the play. Long throw to Kavadas is in time, so it's another 1-2-3 inning. Connor Seckler through 3 scoreless innings so far, and we head to the bottom of the 6th, 3-0 Harwich. You're watching Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners YouTube Network. Bottom of the 6th from White House Field, and Luke Bartnicki continues to stay out there as he will enter his 6th inning of work. His team trailing 3-0, and Tyler, he's pitched pretty well, giving up 3 runs on 3 hits, but hasn't really been able to get any run support so far.
I mean, he's retired 7 of the last 8 hitters that he's faced, so yeah, I definitely don't disagree with keeping him out there, but as you mentioned, Chatham hasn't been able to get a lot of help for him as they have just the 3 hits today, and they've had base runners in scoring position in a number of their innings, but just can't bring anybody across to score.
So Chris Lanzilli leads things off, and he has factored into 2 of the 3 Harwich runs in this game as he doubled and came around to score in the second. Had an RBI single in the third. 1-0 is low and off the pads of Keaton Rice. Nico Kavadas comes out of the on-deck circle to go retrieve the ball. 2-0 pitch from Bartnicki. is way outside, but Lanzilli chases it with a check swing as home plate umpire signals he went around. It's 2-1.
Yeah, the bottom of the order continues to be what's produced for the Mariners today. As it's been guys like Max Marshak, Riley Terada, Hal Hughes, and Pat Winkle reaching base.
Pitch misses outside, and they haven't really done it through hits, but more patience. 3 walks between the 6, 7, 8, and 9 hitters.
Yep, 3 walks, 3 hits. 2 of them are extra base hits this year with a pair of doubles for the Mariners. And, well, here's walk number 4 as jogging down to take his base for the first time today is Chris Lanzilli.
He reaches base for the 3rd time, and looked like Bartnicki was a lot more careful to him that time, not giving him anything to hit. So it's a leadoff walk for the Mariners, and Nico Cavadas will get an opportunity. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game.
And you got to wonder what this does to a guy like Mason Hazelwood, who since the 3rd inning has been warming up out there in the pen and still hasn't been brought into a game yet.
First pitch misses outside. Bartnicki starting to lose a little bit of command here in his 6th inning of work.
Yep, and with Nico Cavadas at the plate, that's not a thing you want to do, although Cavadas is 0 for 2 today. It's been a rough week for him as he's trying to get back on track after the All-Star break.
Fastball outside. Bartnicki looking to avoid his first loss of the season. He sits at 3-0.
Cavadas did reach base 3 times yesterday with 2 RBIs, a double, a single, and a walk. The day before that, it was a 0 for 5 effort with a double play and 4 strikeouts. And well, here comes a coach for the Chatham Anglers. I wonder whether or not this will be the end of the road for Bartnicki. And speaking of coaches for the A's, I almost forgot to mention this. Tom Holliday and one of the pitching coaches, Cook, were both ejected from yesterday's game. Cook is still suspended for this game, and just a weird day all around. It's just been a strange deal with the umpires over the course of the last 3-4 days in the Cape.
So it was Holliday who was out there talking to his pitcher, so I guess he is taken over as pitching coach in the interim. So he exits back to the dugout, and it's 2-0 count for Cavadas, and Bartnicki will check on the runner Lanzilli at first.
Yeah, Lanzilli has a lot of speed, not the biggest threat in the world to steal, as we haven't seen him take off a bunch this year, but certainly want to keep a guy like him close.
Red Sox add another run. They lead it 6-0 over Katuitt, and the 2-0 is on the inside corner for a strike.
Yep, and elsewhere in the Cape, runs really coming at a premium as most scores have stayed right where they're at. Brewster's still leading Orleans 2-0 through 6 innings. Wareham and Falmouth up on Hyannis and Bourne, respectively. Both of those games in the 6th as well.
2-1 is a high pop-up. Goes straight back and just makes its way over the press box. So it'll be 2-2 for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish first baseman.
And that's kind of another big thing with the Brewster Whitecaps. They have 2 more games left to play against a Bourne Braves team who has nothing to play for. If they win out, they're the 4 seed. If they lose out, they're the 4 seed.
There's a line drive out towards left center field, but Polkovic able to play it perfectly and make the catch for out number 1.
Yep, not a bad hit there. Cavadas pushed that one the other way and just hung up a little bit too long for Polkovic. So that'll bring up Pat Winkle, who's already reached base once today on a walk. Aside from that, he's 0 for 1 with a ground out to the first baseman, and see whether or not he can move Lanzilli up into scoring position for Hal Hughes.
That's actually going to be it for Luke Bartnicki as Coach Holliday out to take the ball from him. He'll wait a few minutes as new pitcher arriving. It's going to be Mason Hazelwood. We'll have Hazelwood's numbers on the season when we come back. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Mariners still lead at 3-0. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. 3-0. The Mariners still lead. A new pitcher for the Chatham Anglers. It is the left-hander out of the University of Kentucky, Mason Hazelwood, 6'5", 215 pounds, and he has looked really good out of the bullpen so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, a 1.61 ERA, the biggest number. You also look at a double ratio with 30 strikeouts to only 14 walks, and he's only allowed 6 runs this year, 4 of them earned. So he's been a really good choice for this Chatham team. And the one thing, too, Colin, with the season, the way it is right now, this might be the best time for Harwich to be playing Chatham because they're not going to be pushing quite as hard as other teams in the East as they've already secured a playoff spot. So see how tough they go here as the first pitch is going to miss outside for a ball.
So it's 5 1/3 innings for Bartnicki. Gives up 3 runs so far and 3 hits. He's responsible for Chris Lanzilli over at first base. Surrendered 4 walks while striking out 3. The 1-0 is a broken bat, nubber up the middle. Fielded by Arenas. The throw onto second is in time, so a good job by Jorge Arenas to get the force out at second, flipping the ball over to Morrill, but the return throw from Morrill is not in time, so Pat Winkle reaches on a fielder's choice, and he stands on first with 2 away.
Yeah, really had to kind of turn things around there as he spun completely the other way to get the lead runner at second. So here comes Hal Hughes, and let's take a look at what Mason Hazelwood has: a fastball, a curveball, a changeup, a slider, and a knuckleball that you won't see him break out very often, but occasionally it's something that he will break into. So a 5-pitch guy, and that's been very effective for him this year with a 1.6 ERA.
First pitch to Hughes is on the inside corner for a strike, and for a couple of guys that were on the Harwich Mariners earlier this season, they got some action today as it's All-Star Weekend in the New England Collegiate Baseball League, as the 0-1 is in the dirt for a ball. But Matthew Koperniak actually was in the Home Run Derby just a few hours ago, ended up finishing 3rd, now with the North Adams Steeplecats, and Joe Lamuccio, the starting outfielder for the Valley Blue Sox. So those guys finding success elsewhere as the 1-1 misses low. Hal Hughes 0 for 2 with a fielder's choice that drove in a run. Picked up his 4th RBI of the season. Lanzilli takes his lead off of first. Hazelwood with a 2-1, as that is on the, just missing actually, the up and in corner for ball 3. It's actually Winkle over at first base.
Yep, and Hughes, of course, has already got the 1 RBI today, so looking to maybe tack another one on here. But with 2 outs, this is where Harwich has really done their work this season. See if that continues here in the 6th.
3-1 is hit well down the left field line, hooking, but it is going to be just foul down the line as Hal Hughes got a lot of that ball.
Yep, that thing well fouled down the left field side, but again, it'll be a 3-2 count. He'll have another opportunity. Hal Hughes, one of just 5 guys on this Harwich roster that does not have a home run so far this season. He's joined by Mike Ludwig, Max Marshak, Mike Rothenberg, and Riley Tirada.
Payoff pitch is inside for ball 4, so second walk issued in the inning, the first by Mason Hazelwood, and there's now going to be 2 on and 2 away for Riley Tirada.
Yep, both guys that have faced off against Hazelwood have reached base, so we'll see whether or not that trend continues as Riley Tirada comes up for a 3rd time. He reached on a walk himself back in the 3rd inning. And grounded out the other at-bat he had.
So Tirada will face the southpaw Hazelwood as he looks to get out of the inning with no runs allowed. First pitch, and Tirada way late on the fastball, high for strike 1. Tirada almost came around to score in the 4th after reaching on a 2-out walk. Failed pickoff move allowed him to go all the way to 3rd, but Max Marshak struck out swinging to end that scoring threat. The 0-1 misses low and in.
Yep, and Hazelwood not attacking the zone quite as intensely as I think we expected to see him do early in this game. The last time he came in against Harwich, he really just pounded the zone and trusted his defense to do the rest. So see whether or not he gets more aggressive here, whether he wants to remain with a conservative approach against this Harwich lineup.
Winkle at second, Hughes at first. 2 away in the inning. And the 1-1. Another big swing by Tirada, but he comes up empty as Hazelwood 1 strike away from getting out of the jam.
And of course, Tirada being on that list of guys without a home run, kind of unfair considering he was a very, very late arrival to this Harwich squad. So he's got some pop in the bat. We'll see whether or not he tries to just loft one into the gap somewhere, or maybe hit it hard on the ground. He's got plenty of room in the 3-4 hole on the right side.
Hazelwood looks over at second. Now the 1-2 is foul tipped right off of Keaton Rice. It might have actually glanced off his throwing hand as he kind of winces in pain.
Mason Hazelwood last year at the University of Kentucky put together a pretty decent campaign. He had 9 starts through 13 appearances, a 2-3 record for him, and a 3.92 ERA as he fanned 39 batters compared to just 19 walks.
Certainly a guy who has had stellar control, but has issued a walk in the inning to Hal Hughes with 2 away. He looks to avoid that same fate against Riley Tirada with a 1-2 count. Here's the pitch, and it's on the inside corner for strike 3. Tirada turns towards the dugout and has a couple of words with the home plate umpire and then just shakes his head and walks off. So that will end the 6th inning. The Mariners leave on a couple of base runners, but are unable to pad on to their 3-0 lead. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network.
And welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go to the 7th inning, a 3-0 lead for the Harwich Mariners. And the offense has done its job today, Colin. I mean, they've gotten a couple of runs across, and they've let the pitching do what it's done against Chatham all year long, and that's not allow big offensive performances. So a good lead here. They got 3 more innings left to try to hold it, and it'll be Connor Seckler, who's looked awfully good through his first couple of innings, coming back out to work the 7th.
Yeah, he certainly has looked pretty good so far, and it's certainly helped being able to go that far. It helped him out that Jared Weatherby was able to go 3 innings out of the gate and not give up any runs. That really laid the groundwork for Seckler, and we know that he's got starter stamina, so he could probably go as far as they really need him to go the rest of the game.
Not only does he have starter stamina, but his last 2 appearances were 1 inning and 3 innings, so he's gotten a big rest from going very deep into ball games, and that will hopefully help him out here. Plate umpire Joe Lasapanara gives the signal, and we're ready for some more baseball as the first pitch from Seckler to Charlie Welch is a fastball that will be in there for strike 1, and he's out ahead in another count.
Yeah, it's the bottom of the order for Chatham Anglers, but they have reached base twice, a couple of walks for them so far.
This one will miss outside to Charlie Welch, who today is 0 for 1. He reached on a walk back in the 2nd inning and then flew out back in the 4th. Seckler working out of the windup. The big righty kicks and deals. This pitch will be in there for a strike around the knees. Welch doesn't like it too much as he shakes his head and steps out of the box. So with a 1-2 count, the Mariners looking to hold their 3-0 lead. Here comes the 1-2, and this one will be check swung. They go down to 3rd, and they're going to say he went. So Jason Klump is going to call him out, and that'll be strikeout number 3 here for Connors. Actually, strikeout number 4, sorry, for Seckler.
It was a really tough play. It looked like Welch might have held up, but first base umpire Klump does not agree, and it's much needed leadoff out for Connor Seckler looking to continue his stretch.
And speaking of strikeouts, here comes a guy who's already got 2 of them. It's Keaton Rice. First pitch on its way. Big swing and a miss. Rice trying to get one of those runs back with 1 swing of the bat. Hasn't been a bad season for Keaton Rice this year. It's just been a tough game. Again, he's been 0 for 2, a strikeout swinging and a strikeout looking. Here comes Seckler's 0-1, and that will just miss inside to even the count at 1-1.
Yeah, and really just barely missed. It looked like Seckler might have caught the inside corner, but home plate umpire Joe Lasapanera does not agree.
So the 1-1 swung on and missed again as he pulls the string on Keaton Rice, and it looked like the changeup there. So a couple of different options here. We may see him go to the fastball and just try to challenge Rice with the way he's been playing today. From the windup, here comes the 1-2. Fastball just misses outside, and the count will be evened up here at 2 apiece.
Another great offensive game for the YD Red Sox as they start to get things going. They lead it now 8-0 at Katuitt at Lowell Park.
It's looking more and more like the Red Sox are going to clinch that second playoff spot in the East as Seckler's delivery will miss low and inside. And let's give you a full update around the league as the Whitecaps are still up on the Orleans Firebirds 2-0. I believe that game in the 7th inning right now. The Wareham Gatemen up 1-0 over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks in Game 2 of their doubleheader. The Falmouth Commodores are up 1-0 over the Bourne Braves as this one will be tipped foul. The count stays full.
Tell you what, it's been a really big comeback story for Carson Taylor this season as he homers once again against the Katuitt Kettleers.
3-2, check swing, strike 3. It's going to be another one cut down here by Connor Seckler, and Keaton Rice goes down swinging. But yeah, I mean, back to your point, Colin, it seems like he got off to one of the most horrendous starts of anybody in the entire Cape Cod League, but over the course of the last 4 games, he's looked a lot better.
And Coach Scott Pickler sticking with him because he, I guess, knew he was close to breaking through at some point, and he certainly did against Harwich, and now he's continuing that success against the Kettleers.
First pitch on its way to Cooper Davis. That'll miss inside for ball 1. So Connor Seckler looking for another 1-2-3 inning. He got one back in the 6th. He's retired the first 2 here in the 7th. And here's his 1-0. That one's going to be fouled down the first base line. The count goes 1-1.
Austin Wells with another multi-hit game as well. He's now 2 for 3 with an RBI.
Wells continuing just to tear up Cape League pitching. And again, I mean, the guys that shine in these games, you got to think they're pitching or they're hitting on against better than everyday college pitching. As the 1-1 will miss low and away.
That Brewster and Orleans game still 2-0 in the top of the 7th, so Brewster looking to keep pace with Harwich if they're able to hang on tonight.
2-1's in there for a strike as he pulls the string on Cooper Davis, and Davis will watch that one go by. So we'll have to shorten up on the bat a little bit. Seckler from the windup kicks and deals. And that one's going to be popped high in the air out towards center field. Marshak sprinting in. He's going to call everybody else off, and he will make the catch for out number 3. It's another 1-2-3 inning here for Connor Seckler. We go to the home half of the 7th. Still 3-0 Harwich here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Seventh inning stretch time from White House Field as Mariners continue to lead 3-0. Quick reminder, this game is brought to you in part by Milton Cat. Milton Cat, the Cape and Island dealers, is proud to be a sponsor of today's game.
So as we go to the home half of the 7th inning, it'll be Max Marshak to lead things off for the Harwich Mariners, and then back to the top of the order with Dylan Noisy and Chris Galland. And so far, Marshak has reached on a walk. He stole second and came around to score. That's kind of what we're used to seeing him do, Colin. When he gets on base, he really does look unstoppable.
Yeah, he's just been a really big force when he gets on base. Obviously, that's been a bit of a problem for him this year, but he's arguably one of the most valuable base runners on this entire Harwich Mariners team.
So he will dig in once more here for his 3rd at-bat of the day. A strikeout for him during his 2nd at-bat, and that actually closed out the 4th inning and left Riley Tirada stranded on 3rd. Here he squares to bunt, and He will tip this one foul. Actually, no, they're going to say he didn't touch it at all, and it just squeezes past the glove of of Rice. So the count goes 1-0.
Yeah, he just barely pulled back in time. I think it might have thrown off Keaton Rice when he tried making the play on it.
1-0, once again squaring is Marshak. He'll pull it back, and the count goes 2-0 as that pitch was nowhere near the strike zone from Mason Hazelwood. So Marshak will stand back in from the left side. Corners are playing in, expecting another bunt here. We'll see whether or not he squares, and he will not, as the 2-0 once again misses high and outside, and Hazelwood has dug himself a 3-0 hole.
Yeah, again, you don't really want to put him on base the way things happened the last time he led off with a walk. It was a 2-run inning for the Mariners.
3-0, that'll miss low, so here it is, another 4-pitch walk issued to Max Marshak, and the Harwich speedster takes first with nobody out, and get the feeling we're going to see him try to swipe second some point.
Yeah, even on a pickoff move from a lefty, he still took second base the last time he was on base, so that's just how much speed you're dealing with as an angler pitcher. Going to have to pay very close attention to him on the base pass. I wouldn't be surprised if Hazelwood throws over multiple times in this at-bat to Dylan Noisy.
Noisy, of course, has a double and a run scored. Aside from that, he's 0 for 2. First pitch is on its way to him. He squares to bunt, pulls it back, and Harwich continuing to show that they're willing to play small ball, but that's 5 consecutive pitches outside of the zone here to start the inning from Mason Hazelwood. He has to be careful here as he comes set, keeping a close eye on Marshak at first, and he will step off and fake a throw there. So the count stays 1-0 here, and he'll have to focus up on the batter.
Have to wonder if we'll see anyone in motion at the Harwich bullpen.
Once again, squaring to bunt, and apparently going around on it there is Dylan Noisy, so the count goes 1-1.
As of right now, it looks like it's Seckler's game to continue as he's retired the last 8 batters, but you wonder if they might go to someone, at least for the 9th inning, perhaps a Joe Boyle or Will Heflin.
You would think, as the 1-1 misses low and inside, and I kind of mentioned that earlier, that you get the feeling it'll probably be Seckler's game unless something crazy happens up until that 9th inning, and then the question is, do you bring somebody else in to that situation? But of course, Seckler's looked awfully good, back-to-back 1-2-3 innings in the 6th and 7th. So the 2-1's on its way. Noisy will foul that off, and now with a 2-2 count, this is a prime count for Marshak to maybe get a good jump and try to grab second. Get the feeling Noisy's probably going to be swinging at anything, so there is the risk that he fouls one off, but the swing can complicate Keaton Rice's throw down to second base, and we've seen that help Harwich out a number of times this year. The Mariners lead it 3-0 here in the bottom of the 7th, looking for another insurance run. Runner on first, nobody out. Here comes the pitch. And that will miss low and in, so the count's been worked full here by Dylan Noisy, who is putting together a very patient at-bat of his own.
Yeah, it's bad enough that they walked Max Marshak. You walk Dylan Noisy, and now all of a sudden the threat of the double steal is available, and you still have nobody out in the inning.
So a big pitch coming up here for Mason Hazelwood. He's got 5 different options to pitch with, but we'll see what he elects to go with here on a 3-2 count. Here comes the payoff. Marshak takes off. It'll be chopped down the line and just foul. So Marshak will have to hold up, and he will head back to first base. Get the feeling he'll probably take off again here with a 3-2 count, even despite only 1 out being issued here in the inning. Or no outs, actually. Noisy looking to continue what's been a really good stretch of 10 games for him. Including a 2 home run performance here at White House Field about a week ago against the Whitey Red Sox. Once again, Hazelwood sets the payoff pitch. And that'll miss high for ball 4, so there it is, Colin. Back-to-back walks here. And with nobody out, the Mariners have 2 on for Chris Galland.
Yep, good patience from both Marshak and Noisy, and it brings up a guy who's been arguably the best hitter for average this entire month in Chris Galland, although he's been a little bit quiet over the last couple of games, including an 0 for 3 with a strikeout so far tonight.
So we'll see whether or not Galland can get back on the stick here. The hottest hitter in the Harwich lineup throughout the back part of this season, and with good reason. Again, we talked about it before. He started off as one of the hottest hitters and then really cooled down. He was selected to the All-Star game despite his average dropping as he fouls this one back, and he decided to go meet with his college hitting coach at BC. They met halfway between the Cape League and BC as they met in Foxborough. And after that, he just went on an absolute tear, hitting well above 500, driving in runs left and right, and it's really turned him into the kind of caliber player we know he can be. So the BC Eagle stands in from the left side, runners on first and second, nobody out. Mason Hazelwood comes to the ready, and here comes the 0-1 pitch. Gallen scores down, lays a bunt as it'll be picked up by Hazelwood. He will go to first, and Gallen still almost beat it out, but he succeeds in doing what he wanted to do, and that's move 2 runners into scoring position and eliminate the double play here for Daniel Cabrera.
Yes, I think it's a smart call there for Coach Engler, because Cabrera, despite being 0 for 3 today, has hit really well against lefties. His average against left-handed pitching has always hovered around 300, so golden opportunity to really break this game open for Cabrera.
It will be a lefty-on-lefty matchup here as Daniel Cabrera, who's 0 for 3 today, looking for his hit. He's certainly due for one. Mason Hazelwood looking to prevent that. Hazelwood from the stretch, kicks and deals. First pitch misses outside. Actually, it's going to catch the corner, and the count goes 0-1.
Yeah, good spot from Hazelwood, and this would be a huge strikeout if you could get it, because, you know, Chris Lanzilli is going to be lurking in the on-deck circle, who's already reached base 3 times.
Here comes the 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, and falling behind here is Daniel Cabrera. Taking a look at the last time these two teams met, Harwich jumped out to an early 3-0 lead, and they have had a 2-0 lead and a 3-0 lead on Chatham in their last 2 losses to the Anglers. Here they have a 3-0 lead again as this pitch is spiked in the dirt. Good block there by Keaton Rice, and he made it look awfully casual as he kind of just stuck his glove out and snagged that one out of the air.
Cabrera looking to extend a 4-game hitting streak to 5. That could be in serious jeopardy if he's unable to reach base via hit here.
Certainly wonder with the lead and going into the 8th inning next whether or not he'd get another at bat. Hazelwood sets, checks the runner back to second. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That one will be fouled off, and Cabrera lives to fight off another one.
Yeah, Cabrera with back-to-back multi-hit games against YD, including a pair of doubles. Also drove in a run yesterday in a 13-7 losing effort.
Quick update on the scoreboard. The Hyannis Harborhawks have struck twice, so the Gateman's lead has been cut to 1, 3-2 out in Hyannis, as Cabrera will chop this one short, and it's going to be booted by Hazelwood, who throws on the first, not in time. Throw back to third. 1 run comes across to score, and how about that?
And it looks like there was a discussion over it first. It was a really close play, in fact, for Cabrera, as Hazelwood was able to recover, but not in time to get the out. And I think he kind of thought about going home with it before actually making that play, and that's what caused him to misplay it. So there's a run, and going to be the second error of the ball game committed by a Chatham pitcher.
More importantly, it keeps the runner at third base, and it's going to put runners at the corners here for Chris Lanzilli. Runner takes off here. There will be a throw down to second. It's not nearly in time to catch the speedy Cabrera. So the right back where they started here, second and third, 1 away. But now a right-handed hitter who's been looking awfully good today. He's reached base in all 3 of his at-bats at the plate.
Certainly has looked really good, and he's got a couple of guys on base right now with pretty good speed. You know, we know the speed that Noisy has, but Cabrera also, so a base hit could play too.
1-0 pitch will be fouled back to the screen. Count is even here at 1-1 as Lanzilli's got the double, the RBI single, and the walk today. Working on a pretty impressive July campaign, and one that will hopefully spill out into a playoff berth for Harwich as they continue pushing for one of the last playoff spots in the East. Here he will take a ball into deep right center field. That will chase Caliwow back, and he's going to make the catch. That'll score 1 easily and will allow Noisy. Well, Noisy will come across to the plate, but Cabrera will move up to third, and it's going to be a sac fly for Chris Lanzilli to give Harwich a 4-0 lead.
Just an all-around productive day at the plate for Lanzilli. Now 2 RBIs. He's got 2 hits and a walk, and now the sacrifice fly brings home another insurance run. So see if Nico Cavadas can keep things going. He still has a runner in scoring position after Cabrera moved up to third.
Yep, Cavadas so far today is 0 for 3, a line out, a strikeout, and a fly out. First pitch he sees will miss low and away, a fastball, 4-1. So another big inning for the Harwich Mariners here. And they've now gone up more than they've ever been up on Chatham over the course of the season. This pitch is in there for a strike to even the count at 1-1.
Infield playing relatively straight up, but it seems like there's a decent amount of space straight up the middle if Cavadas can hit one hard right to center field.
We've seen them play him that way quite a bit this season, as he typically doesn't take balls back up the middle, but he will watch the 1-1 pitch. That'll miss outside. The count goes 2-1 here. So still Daniel Cabrera standing on third base. The Mariners up 5-0 here in the bottom half of the 7th. And another insurance run would be huge for the Mariners as the 2-1 pitch misses outside, and now they're at risk of walking Cavadas. Cavadas stands in from the right side. A 3-1 count here. Mason Hazelwood coming set. Here comes the pitch. And that'll miss high, so a 5-pitch walk here to Nico Cavadas will put runners at the corners for Pat Winkle here in the 7th.
Yeah, the third walk of the inning issued by Hazelwood, and haven't really seen that much of lack of control from him this season. He's been a guy who usually pounds the strike zone, but that's now 4 walks in less than 2 innings.
And there's still nobody up warming in the Chatham bullpen, so it's going to remain Hazelwood's game for the time being, although with a 5-run deficit, you get the feeling Chatham's not interested in burning through any more of their arms right now. They may be willing to let this one go. First pitch to Pat Winkle is going to miss high. Count is 1-0, and now here comes Tom Holliday to have a word with his his lefty.
Yeah, he's certainly struggling out there, especially locating his fastball, which should be the easier of the two compared to his off-speed to get over the strike zone, but so far it just hasn't happened, and can't keep putting guys on base who want to stay in this game.
So let's give you a scoreboard update around the league. Of course, a one final to pass your way that's already happened. The Wareham Gatemen win 7-1 over the Hyannis Harborhawks. But in Game 2, don't get too excited yet, Colin, but Hyannis has tied it up. It's 3-3, so the Harborhawks could potentially pick up what I believe would be their 8th win of the season. Another tie game out in the West, which they found with the Commodores have had their game tied with the Bourne Braves. It's all 1-1 out at Doran Park in Bourne. Brewster Whitecaps still leading the Orleans Firebirds. That game in the top of the 8th at Eldridge Park. And then, of course, the Whitey Red Sox in the top of the 8th are up 8-0 over the Katuitt Kettleers. Here it's 5-0. The Harwich Mariners leading with 2 away. Runners at the corners and Pat Winkle at the plate as Mason Hazelwood looks to close the book on what's been a terrifying inning for him. He's only given up the 2 runs, but he has walked 3 runners on. And Colin, actually, now that I look at this, he has not surrendered a single hit here in the inning yet.
Yeah, he hasn't, but of course hasn't really needed to give up any hits. In fact, the Mariners haven't had a hit at all since the 3rd inning. But just putting guys on base via walk has really found the Anglers in just a world of trouble this game.
They've had 6 walks, 2 errors, and a fielder's choice since then as another pitch misses outside. And boy, I'll tell you what, Hazelwood just doesn't look like he has it. I asked Colin whether or not he would be affected by being out there warming up in the bullpen over the course of 4 different innings and then finally being brought into a game. And honestly, I think it may have affected him negatively as another pitch will miss outside of the zone.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't have his best stuff out there. And at this point, he just needs to find the strike zone against some of these guys. He's not going to get beat for power for most of these guys down at the bottom of the order. So try to force him to put the ball in play at the very least.
3-0, we'll see whether or not Winkle's got the green light. He does not. The fastball will catch the outer half for strike 1. Of course, Winkle is a guy who could take you deep. He had an absolute moonshot at Red Wilson Field in YD the other day. So certainly a power threat, although again, only 2 Harwich Mariners have multiple home runs this season, and that belongs to Dylan Noisy and Nico Cavadas. 3-1, check swing, strike 2 on Pat Winkle.
Yeah, Winkle's quietly found himself aboard twice with a walk in the 2nd. He also reached base via fielder's choice in the 6th.
So here comes the payoff from Hazelwood. Runner goes, and Winkle will send this one into left field. Coming in is Davis, and he will make the catch to retire the side. But not before Harwich tacks a few more insurance runs on. They lead at 5-0 over Chatham. When we come back, we go to the 8th here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field as we go to the 8th inning. Tyler, Henry, Colin Casey. A quick update on how the runs for Hyannis were scored during their game. It was back-to-back pinch hit home runs. So how about that? A couple of big-time substitutions being made as Jared DeSantelo and Trevor Hauber tie the game up in the 6th.
Well, those are two of the better hitters in that lineup along with Hunter Goodman, so they come up big. They don't, despite the struggles for Hyannis this season, they haven't quite quit, and they're looking to at least impress some of the scouts out there and show them that they don't give up even seasons where their teams aren't getting the results that they usually want to.
Jake McKenzie of Bourne has hit a solo shot, and the Bourne Braves have taken a 2-1 lead, so Falmouth is potentially at risk of giving up their 11-game winning streak, and they're trying to go on a historic run. Again, they've already tied for the 6th longest winning streak in Cape League history. But here it's a 5-0 game. The Harwich Mariners on top, and Chatham down to their final 6 outs. Due up, it's Houston Morrill, Kaden Polkovic, and Jorge Arenas, the top of the order for the Chatham A's.
It'd be interesting to see if Falmouth loses their 11-game winning streak to Bourne of all teams. No offense to Bourne, but they are second to last in terms of points earned in the entire CCBL.
Certainly not a team that scores a lot of runs. The first pitch on its way, and that one is going to be in there for a strike. Of course, Harwich not exactly super high on that list themselves, but again, the pitching has been so good that it's kind of counterbalanced. As the 0-1 pitch is on its way, that'll miss low and away. Off-speed pitch to Houston Morrill, who's 3 for 3 today, a couple of singles and a double. Morrill now facing a 1-1 count. Here comes the pitch, and that'll miss low and inside for ball 2.
Mariners have definitely improved over the last few games offensively. I mean, they've scored 3 or more runs over the last 5.
2-1, swing and a miss there by Morrill. And yeah, the offense, it's really come alive at the right time. As we talked about it, they've gotten better and better throughout this back part of the season. It was just a really, really tough start to the year for the Harwich Bats. 2-2 pitch, swung on and chopped weakly to third and down into foul territory. So Riley Tirado will scoop that up, and we'll do it again. Of course, the one downside to scoring more runs, and it's not a direct result, but Colin, we've seen a lot more runs given up by the Harwich Mariners pitchers over the course of the last few weeks too. 2-2's on its way. This one swung on and chopped the other way to first. Cavadas will step on in the bag, and that'll retire the first out of the inning.
Yeah, despite seeing a spike in runs given up for the Mariners, at least they've kind of counterbalanced it with the bats, but I'm sure Coach Engler would like that ERA over the last week or so to climb down as we get closer to playoff time.
So here comes Kaden Polkovic, standing in from the right side. Polkovic is 0 for 2 with a walk today. It's been a pretty quiet day for one of the best hitters in the Chatham lineup, and the first pitch he sees is going to miss inside for ball 1. Yeah, Harwich has been giving up runs in bunches. A couple of notable games you think about. The YD game just a day ago where they surrendered 13 runs, and then a game with Brewster where they gave up 11, but they did win one of those games, so I guess that's a positive. Here comes the 2-0 to Polkovic. Swing and a miss as Seckler blows a fastball by him, and he's gotten himself back here 2-1.
And Chatham in danger of being shut out at White House Field in back-to-back games now.
2-1, check swing. They will say he did not go, and that's the interesting thing about these two teams and the way they've played this year. So far, 2 of the games, and if this score holds, it would be 3, have been via shutout. There's only been one game where both teams found their way onto the scoreboard. So this is going to be a 5-pitch walk issued to Kaden Polkovic, the second walk he's taken today, and there's a runner on base for Jorge Arenas here in the 8th.
Yeah, just the second walk given up in the game for Seckler. His control's been pretty solid so far, but right there he's surrenders a 1-out walk, and now the heart of the order looking to chip away at this Harwich lead in the top half of the 8th inning.
He'll have to do it against a guy that's only got 1 home run this year, but that home run was a crucial one as the home plate umpire signaling something up here to the official scorer. So it'll be Jorge Arenas standing in.
It's actually going to be a pinch runner over at first. Not exactly sure who just yet.
We'll get you an update on that here in just a moment. So that'll be the end of Kaden Polkovic's night, and he didn't swing an exceptional bat, but he found his way on base twice. It's about all you can ask out of the guy.
If I had to guess, it might be Colin Hall. We've seen him as a pinch runner against Harwich before, but cannot confirm it just yet.
And they made that substitute so quickly that I think you and I are both wondering who they brought in. So Again, a new pinch runner on first, one away, and Jorge Arenas at the plate. Seckler with a quick throw over to first, and now we see it is Colin Hall.
Yep. Guy with a lot of speed. He's been utilized as a pinch runner all season long, so we'll see if Colin Hall is sent in motion.
Certainly could be, and another pitch will miss outside of the zone here. So Seckler going to the stretch for the first time in quite some time. He had retired the last 8 that he had, actually the last 9 that he had faced before walking Kaden Polkovic. Here comes the 2-1, check swing, and they will go down. They say he did, so count is 2-2.
Yeah, it was no appeal. It was the home plate umpire just pointing at the fact that he did in fact hold up, so no appeal necessary. Is count now even to Arenas.
With a 2-2 count, Colin Hall on first base does have 3 stolen bases this year. That's good enough for second on the team, and a ball popped high in the air. This will chase Cavadas over to the first base dugout, and he will make the catch. So a good snag there by Cavadas for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, big out for Seckler as he was struggling to find the zone early in that at-bat and to Polkovic the at-bat before, but was able to jam Arenas, and now it'll be up to the cleanup hitter Paxton Wallace to keep the inning alive.
It's been a very quiet, very still afternoon/evening here at White House Field, and this ball is going to be ripped by Paxton Wallace into deep left field. It's back to the wall and off the wall. It'll be picked up by Chris Galland. They're going to wave the runner across, and he should come home easily, as it's kind of an interesting relay throw to Hal Hughes there. So the first run of the day comes across here in the form of Colin Hall, and it will be a double here for Paxton Wallace, and now it looks like they may sub him out too.
Well, it makes sense to go to the pinch runner there. It really paid off for the Chatham Anglers with Tom Holliday going to Colin Hall off the bench, and he scores from first on a ball that just missed leaving White House Field to hit the base of the fence on the fly, and that's the first run allowed in this game by Connor Seckler and Mariners pitching in general.
They will keep Paxton Wallace out there at second base as he just came back to return some equipment. So here comes Alex Terral. First pitch to him is going to miss low, and the count goes 1-0 here.
Yeah, Terral 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts, but he did reach base in the fourth on a drop third.
Seckler comes set, the 1-0 on its way. Fastball low, and the count is 2-0 here as, again, a runner in scoring position in the form of Paxton Wallace with 2 away. Mariners lead 5-1 here in the 8th. Terral digs in the 2-0 pitch, and that one will also miss, similar spot, so the count is 3-0, and another walk potentially coming up here from Connor Seckler.
I mean, this would be a positive inning for Chatham if they're even able to just bring home one more run and have it be, at the very least, a 3-run deficit going to the 9th.
3-0 down the pipe. So a 3-1 count here on Alex Terral. Not an overwhelming amount of speed in Paxton Wallace at second. Certainly not a slow guy, but not somebody who's going to try to swipe third either. The 3-1 pitch, swing and a miss, and the count goes 3-2. Seckler had him way out ahead of that one, and Alex Terrell's going to have to shorten up on the bat a little bit here with a full count.
Kendrick Caliwow waiting in the on-deck circle, a guy who's put the ball in play all 3 times but has yet to reach base.
So with a full count, Seckler sets and deals the payoff pitch, and it will be fouled back to the screen here by Alex Terrell. A lot of really long at-bats throughout this game, despite the fact that Chatham has scored just 1 run. It seems like they've been out there on offense for quite some time. So another payoff coming here, and here it comes. And that will be fouled away as well.
7 of the 9 guys in the YD Red Sox lineup with RBIs in this game. Another just huge offensive outburst up and down the lineup as RJ Yeager just drew a walk that brought home a run to make it 9-0.
3-2, strike 3 called. Alex Terrell heads back to the dugout empty-handed, and that's going to do it for the 8th. We go to the bottom half. Harwich will look to get the 1 run back. They lead at 5-1 here on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. A whole slew of defensive updates to get you on as it'll be Paxton Wallace taking over at first base. Tyler Dones checks into the game at second, and Jorge Arenas slides over to third. So it looks like Alex Terrell, for the time being, is checked completely out of the game, and Harwich coming up here trying to add a few more insurance runs on to their 4-run lead. They lead at 5-1 as the first pitch misses for a ball to to Hal Hughes.
Also appears that Colin Hall will stay in the game in center field for Kaden Polkovic.
Here's a ball taken into left field. That'll chase the left fielder over. What a grab there by Davis. So he's able to make the out for out number one.
They had to run all the way back into left center field corner to make that play, but that prevents Hal Hughes from reaching base for the third time in this one. And see if the rest of the bottom of the lineup for Harwich can get the job done, as they certainly have today, scoring 2 of the team's 5 runs.
So here comes Riley Tirada, who today is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out, but he reached on a walk and came all the way around to third in the third inning. First pitch he sees is off speed inside, and that'll catch the zone for strike one.
And just a horrendous game in terms of control from Chatham pitching. They've surrendered 8 walks so far.
Certainly an uncharacteristically bad game out of a pitching staff that comes into today's game with the best team ERA in the league by quite some space. Another pitch in the zone to Tirada, so he has no 2 count here. And the righty will have to shorten up as Mason Hazelwood's back out there for another inning. The 0-2 pitch, that'll be taken into left field. It's got a chance to get down in fair territory, and it will. Tirada will round to head for second. It's going to be picked up by Davis. Throw is on its way, and it's not in time. A stand-up double for Riley Tirada, and the Mariners are in business here with 1 away in the 8th.
Yeah, the second double with the Harwich Mariners for Tirada, yet his first against his former team in the YD Red Sox. This time, he just turns around on a pitch and drops it down the left field line. Good hustle to get to second. So the Mariners with a big insurance run on second base and a guy who has reached base twice in this game at the plate.
Interesting that guys are still kind of messing around with the strike zone with Max Marshak, because again, he only has the 5 hits, but to his credit, he's been able to draw as many walks this year. So if he gets on base, he's always a threat to score. Now looking for an RBI with Riley Tirada on second. First pitch, he squares to bunt, pulls it back, and the count is 1-0. Our first game has gone final out of the second set as the Highness Harborhawks are able to reach a tie, their second of the season, with the Wareham Gatemen, and it may not be a win, but at least it's not a loss for the Harborhawks as Marshak swings through that pitch.
Yeah, what at least some sort of momentum to take is trying to play spoiler with the Gatemen and kind of prevent them from having a shot at the top seed, with Falmouth surging over the last two and a half weeks.
Marshak with a 1-1 count. They check the runner back to second. Hazelwood delivers. This is going to be popped high in the air off the bat of Marshak, who was trying to lay down another bunt, and it's to no avail as the count's now 1-2.
Tirada's got decent speed at second, so a base hit might be able to plate him.
Marshak stands in from the left side. Hazelwood sets, checks the runner a few times, and then brings home the 1-2. And that'll be fouled away again, and that's really what's made this game go so long, Colin. It seems like everybody is fouling off 2-strike pitches.
Yeah, just a lot of tough at-bats from the Mariners, and being able to extend those counts have been huge, drawing, of course, 8 walks so far, and Marshak has drawn a couple of them, and it led to him scoring in the 3rd and in the 7th.
And honestly, it's resulted in a number of different chances for Harwich to bring runs across as the 1-2 is swung on and missed by Max Marshak for his second strikeout of the day.
So it's now walk, strikeout for Marshak, but regardless for him, he'll certainly take this as a positive day at the plate, scoring twice and reaching base a couple of times with a steal as well.
So here comes Dylan Noisy. Noisy is 1 for 3 today, a double, a walk, 2 runs scored, and then a fly out and a ground out. He's got a runner in scoring position, an opportunity to bring Riley Tirada across to score. Tirada's reached scoring position twice so far and has not been able to come across for a run, as this pitch is knocked away by Keaton Rice, and he'll pick it up to make it a 1-0 count.
Nick Stewart warming in the pen for the Harwich Mariners. We'll see if he gets some action in the top of the 9th or if they'll just ride it out with Seckler.
The 1-0 pitch in there for a strike. And calling an update 32 seconds ago, Harwich is going to get a little help as Shea Whitcomb launches a 2-run bomb, and the Orleans Firebirds are now tied with the Brewster Whitecaps 2-2 in the 8th. Next pitch will miss low and inside here to Dylan Noisy, and the count's 1-1 or 1-2.
Is it really help though if those two teams tie and don't lose any ground at all though? That's the way I feel about it.
I mean, it gives an opportunity. You'd still rather have.
You get a game and a half, but the Brewster still has a game in hand. So I don't know if exactly this is the ideal scenario, but we'll have to see.
1-1 count. Noisy's going to sky this one in the air, and it's going to chase the center fielder in. Plenty of time, and Polkovic will make the catch for out number 3. And let's actually keep it right here. I want to go back to that point because, again, you look at the standings, and the one thing you got to hope for is that Brewster gets as few points as possible. They're the immediate threat to the Mariners at the bottom of the standings. So for them to get 1 point instead of 2, it's still a victory for a Harwich team that's trying to distance themselves from Brewster. And I mean, we all kind of decided that regardless of what happened, at the end of the day, it was going to come down to who did better in the home and home coming up with the Whitecaps. But I'd still argue that a tie is better than a win for the Whitecaps, as again, that's going to keep one win off of their total for the season.
Right, but you are playing Brewster twice, and you're only playing Orleans once. So if you lose both those games against Brewster, at the very least, I mean, a concrete outcome, whether it be the Whitecaps winning or even Orleans losing. With an Orleans loss, it still kind of benefits the Harwich Mariners in a way that they would only be 1 game back of them. Sure, Brewster would be 1 game back as well. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation with a tie. You either gain a half a game on both teams you gain a half a game on both teams with a win, but at the same time you wonder if a loss for Brewster would also put them even further back, or a loss for Orleans would at least bring them within striking distance. I believe a loss with Orleans would bring them just 1 game within the Harwich Mariners.
At some point, though, you got to cut your losses with an Orleans team that's currently 4 points up on Harwich, as opposed to a Brewster team that's only 2 points behind. So, you know, if you hold out hope that the Firebirds keep winning, you're going to put yourself in a position where you only have to focus on Brewster losing. And again, you got to hope for the best with the team that's currently in the base. But nonetheless, Harwich is in a position to come out and win this game. And it's going to be Connor Seckler coming out here to pitch the 9th and trying to close this one out for the M's. So we'll see whether or not they can close this game out, a 4-run lead. And Kendrick Caliwow here to lead things off in the 9th. Caliwow from the left side. First pitch he sees is skipped in the dirt for ball 1. And again, it looks like this game will go final before any of the others that are currently in play right now, as most do feature the home team trailing. This is hit to Terada. He'll throw across to Cavadas in time for the first out of the inning. And really quickly, there is one final to pass along to you, as I forgot about the one factor that gets every Cape League team, and that's darkness, as the Katuitt Kettleers game is called after 8 innings. So it's going to go down as a 9-1 YD win, and they have officially clinched the 2nd spot in the Eastern playoffs.
Team that's gotten really dangerous over the last couple of games. Really big of them to actually get that extra point on Harwich, drawing that tie at White House Field a couple of days ago, and they took some momentum into it. A couple of blowout victories against other teams.
This one's going to miss low. More importantly for YD is they have closed the gap on the Chatham Anglers to be behind them by a point. If this score holds, it's going to be a fun fight for the number 1 seed as well.
Certainly will be.
Here comes the 1-0 from Seckler. That one will miss outside, and the count goes 2-1. So the 3 other games going on right now, the Bourne Braves lead the Falmouth Commodores 2-1 in the 7th. And then, of course, a 2-2 game in the top of the 9th. Brewster trying to get that one back as we are knotted up there at Eldridge Park. This pitch misses inside, and the count goes 3-0. Harwich 2 outs from closing out a victory here as they lead 5-1 over the first place Anglers. Here comes the pitch. That one's going to be in there for a strike, and the count goes 3-1 here on the hitter Charlie Welch.
And as far as Brewster goes, already have gone 2 up, 2 down to start the inning.
Ball popped a mile high in the air. Plenty of time for Gallen to come in. He calls the shortstop Hal Hughes off and makes the catch for out number 2.
So as far as that game goes, Connor Pellerin trying to get it to the bottom half of the inning and a chance for Orleans to walk off. And I think that would be a great situation, though, if Orleans is able to walk off against Brewster. All of a sudden, it's a 2-game lead for the Harwich Mariners over the Brewster Whitecaps.
First pitch is on its way to Welch, and that will miss low and inside. And again, with the rules of, no extra inning games. That also helps Harwich's case, as if Brewster is unable to score here at the top of the ninth, the best they can do is tie. This one will miss outside to Welch, and the count goes 2-0. It's going to be like this the next couple of days. We're going to be keeping one eye on the game and one eye on the scoreboard, as Harwich's playoff hopes are primarily in their own hands. Again, they've got the 2 games against Brewster and the 1 against Orleans left. That accounts for 3 of the 4 games they have remaining in the season. The other will be tomorrow with this Chatham squad, as this pitch is going to catch the inside part of the zone. The count goes 3-1 here on Charlie Welch.
And actually, the playoff hopes for the Mariners, they win out and Brewster either ties or loses, which they're going to, as there's a foul ball off the foot of Keaton Rice. But if the Mariners win out and Brewster, who can only tie at this point as top of the ninth has concluded, if the Mariners win out, it's not going to matter because Brewster wouldn't be able to catch them because they only have 1 additional game over the Mariners left.
Yep, so a lot of it's going to come down to the home and home, but for the time being, Harwich trying to close out their 2nd win of the year over the Chatham Anglers, and they're 1 strike away from doing so as Connor Seckler is looking to close the game out himself. He came in the 4th inning, and he's gotten every single pitch since then. He needs 1 more out, and they can get up with a strike here. Seckler from the windup, the payoff pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3, and that's going to do it as it was tipped back into the glove of Pat Winkle. Harwich gets the win 5-1, and they will improve on the year now to 19-20-1. We will step away. When we come back, we'll put the cap on it here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back one last time to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey here to put the cap on it as Harwich gets a 5-1 victory and a much-needed one over the Chatham Anglers. And Colin, it was another game where the pitching really came out and shined, especially Connor Seckler, who came out and pitched the last 6 innings of this game. He looked absolutely shut down and ends up resulting in a big-time Harwich victory.
Yes, 6 innings pitched by Seckler after 3 solid innings from Jared Weatherby, 3 scoreless innings. But Seckler goes 6 innings, giving up just the 1 earned run in the 8th inning. Only 2 hits allowed. He surrendered a couple of walks, but made up for it by striking out 7, and he picks up his 3rd victory of the year, and that one will definitely help lower the ERA. So Connor Seckler continues to be a huge part of this starting rotation. I say that loosely because, of course, he didn't have to start today, but he's a huge part of this pitching staff as a whole, and Mariners once again pick up a big victory, and no matter what happens in the Brewster-Orleans game, they're able to at least maintain pace and probably they will at least gain a game on Brewster, either a full game or a half a game, so definitely a big positive output for the Mariners here against Chatham tonight.
Yep, Chatham scores 1 run on 4 hits and has 2 errors. They leave 7 runners on base. Harwich also leaves 7 runners on base, but they score 5 runs on 4 hits and do not commit a single error. The win goes to Connor Seckler, who's now 3-2. The loss goes to Luke Bartnicki, and let's really quickly take a look at the standings. So with a win today, the Harwich Mariners move up to have 39 points over Brewster, who currently has 35. So Brewster, the top of the 9th inning has concluded. The best they can do is get 1 point in a tie. And Colin, a quick update from you?
Yeah, 2 outs right now in that bottom of the 9th inning with Sean Fisher on the mound, and with a 2 outs in the inning and a pinch hitter at the plate, we'll see if Orleans can somehow manage to keep that game alive. But as of right now, it's looking like that game might tie. So in that scenario, it would be a game and a half up for Harwich on the Whitecaps and a game and a half back from the Orleans Firebirds.
Yep, and that's not a bad situation to be in, as again, Harwich is continually in their own destiny, and actually that game has now gone final. So it will be a 2-2 tie. Brewster will lose a point on Harwich today, so they're now up by a game and a half, and again, they will be playing at Veterans Field against Chatham tomorrow. You can catch that game. First pitch will be scheduled for a
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Yep. So 7 o'clock at Veterans Field tomorrow. That's where Harwich will be for the time being. I'd like to say thank you once again for tuning in. Harwich gets the victory 5-1. You caught it right here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.